Hello traders, hello friends, how are you all doing? I hope you're all very, very well in the world of crypto. And we've seen some lovely price action today in this world, this planet Earth, where in the future the currency will be Dogecoin, or Dogecoin, in of course the prophecies as according to Elon Musk. Lovely jubbly. And that is of course as well coming alongside the news that Tesla, or Elon, put in $1.5 billion into buying Bitcoin recently, and along with that news, some more FOMO has entered the market and the prices have gone on up. Lovely stuff, we'll be checking that out, but that's not necessarily the entire focus of the show today, ladies and gentle friends. What we're also going to be looking at is the listings from Lunar Crush. Now I have this Lunar Crush page over here, and this is of course not sponsored or any of that. Just going to be using this to find some of the most popular, most spoken about coins in the crypto space at the moment, and doing some TA on these bad boys. And that's something that I'll be doing more often on the show, just bringing in a wider audience and looking at the things that are being talked about the most. I hope that sounds good. So we'll be taking a look at TEL, PundyX, not Tether, we'll skip that one. Maybe some Ripple and some Digibyte, some Koti, and of course the usual ones that we like to talk about. Ethereum making it in here at number 7 on the Lunar Crush social ranking list today. Just following through here and seeing what the top 10 is here on the charts. We're seeing BAB, BAX, Luna, Litecoin filling out the top 10. It's not until actually you get past the top 10 that you start seeing the likes of Polkadot, Algorand, Chainlink, and Bitcoin themselves. So it's an interesting list, this one, talking and looking at all the different sort of social metrics to try and come up with a ranking for them. So that's cool. And by the way, 3000 Trin, I hope you are liking the attire today. That's right, put this on just for you, my friend. Good to see you in there. Nice to see you, K-Doc. The weather outside is frightful, while these Bitcoin and altcoin prices are of course so delightful, and our good friend TradeSpotting is traipsing through that snow right now. So everybody send warm thoughts TradeSpotting's direction. Nice to have you here, Navanethan, as well. Not the first, sad face. Aww. And we'll also be having lots of other people coming along as well. No matter when you join me, welcome to the show. I'm just going to run those intro credits, and I'll see you back in the chat in just a second as we see 3000 Trin celebrating with a yeah for the polo neck. It's always nice listening to that tune, isn't it? So this is what we're talking about today. Let me know what you think of this idea in the chat snazzles over there, where you have, of course, my very rapt attention for the next couple of minutes as we introduce the show. And let me know what you think about it. Nice to see you in here as well, Matt Rodriguez. Good to see you, Matt. Good to see you, John Torpy. What's going on, people? He's asking everybody. And yeah, so what do you think about this idea? So in the future, if you'd like me to take a look at one of the coins and all that on the show, and you don't want to submit a tip, which is understandable, as there's a skinflint inside every single one of us, then I'm going to make it easy for you as well. Just simply go onto Twitter and tweet at me and throw in a hashtag, something like rocky.outcrop.eth or rocky.outcrops the best, whatever, I don't really know, and do something like that, and it's a little bit of give and take on that front, and that's cool, so that, you know, the people, the fly-by-night crowd who drop in and ask for a coin and then go away again will have to kind of do something to get one. And I think it's a bit of a laugh. It's dead easy to find me on Twitter, by the way, so let's just bring up the old Twitter atty over here and show you my page, of course, as well. So let's go to the home thing. No, wait, let's go to the profile thing. There we go. Rocky_outcrop. If you want to be tweeting at me, and then I'll try and keep an eye out for that. If you come into the chat here, you're looking for a coin to be done. Dead simple stuff. It's not that big a deal. It just helps with the whole social engagement thing, and that's what we're kind of going for as well. Social engagement, going to look to grow in the channel, and big celebration, claps all round, by the way, claps all round in stereoscopic sound for the 2,203 subscribers to the channel. That's so fantastic. fantastic. And I'll give a little shout out to the ones that subscribed off camera when we weren't looking recently. So the likes of London Monarch, who subscribed, the likes of Chaos Tistland, who subscribed, and the likes of Sal Rahim and Jason Dennison. So maybe those alerts will come up if we get, yeah, there we go, there's a couple of them showing up anyway. Nice to give credit where it's due. So first off then, let's have a quick look over at our good old friend Dogecoin. Nah, I'm just kidding. Well, am I kidding? I don't know. Anyway, as we see those delayed alerts coming through now, just saying thanks to those guys for subscribing. And yeah, so Dogecoin, I've got the 15-minute chart up behind me at the minute as it happens. Bring it up full screen so you can see what's happening, everybody. Well, you know me, when it comes to clicking those buttons, I tend to hit them one too many times. Nice to see you there, TradeSpot, and we're sending you warm thoughts as you cope with the cold weather outside. So I hope you got in there nice and warm. Hey Team Rocky, says John, good to see you here. Nice to have you among us as well. RT Pile, lovely to see you. Tesla buys $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, plans to accept it as payment, says Zoner, and indeed you are correct. They're getting the ball rolling. It'd probably be wise of them to buy some Bitcoin if they're planning on accepting it as payment and that sort of thing. So one, you know, the accepting it as payment comes hand in hand with buying some Bitcoin, or at least acquiring it in one form or another. It's good to see that they're actually talking about doing both, of course. The cars are all stuck. I'm not surprised. It is absolutely frightful weather outside. And welcome to everybody who's just joining us as well. If you drop that like button, you know what, if you drop that like button, YouTube really loves it. It's like when you tickle a cat under the chin or you throw a ball for a dog. That's what it's like when you hit that like button. So don't leave YouTube in the dark. Certainly let it know how you're feeling. This is the Dogecoin chart, and I'm looking at this thing thinking, is this some sort of doubly top that we have on the go? And it was a bit of fun earlier on, you know, Dogecoin for the memes. It was nice and fun to short it down here earlier when I was looking at the charts up in the 80s down to the 70s. That was a good bit of fun coming in here for a touch off of the 50 simple period moving average on the 15-minute time frame. Earlier on as well, it was a good laugh to long it up here from 72 up towards that 85 area and just take profits when they were presenting themselves. I wonder if anybody else out there managed to trade anything off the back of this. And it is probably worth pointing out that, of course, this is more to do with the meme dynamics than it necessarily is to do with the TA dynamics. But we do have this, we do have a couple of things happening for us at once here. We've got a bit of a basin, we've got a bit of a retreat down here in the price with a resurgence thereafter. Lovely to see that if we're looking at a sort of twin peak coming in here with our two peaks in terms of the body closures and giving us a couple of lips on what could be a cup. It's always nice to talk about cups with handles for the since we're in meme town, and it's one of the favorite ones to be talked about newer traders. Seeing this playing out in terms of the volume down below as well. Up there on the between these two highs, when we were looking at the RSI here, you can see that we were getting bearish divergence across the board, so it was an easy short to take at that point. Yes, it was. And looking here at the DMI, we could see that we're in a degree of chop without really getting that strength of trend on the go properly in the rise up, so we didn't have the anticipation of it breaking, and that made it an even easier short, did it not? Yes, it did. Now, if we're looking at this in terms of being an upward trend in terms of this second half of the cup, the basin area with a low here, another low here, another low here, interspersed with higher highs, of course, all of them being higher lows, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. When we look towards the lows over here, well, we can say that between the last few, there's been a touch of the old bullish divergence over here between the major sort of push down the way. Well, that incorporates the previous area down, so you know, looking between this area instead, more significantly at the ones following on from the initial impulse at this stage when we're looking for this hidden bullish divergence, and it's there, so there's a little touch of that. Nice to see, of course. Now we don't need this to play out in any particular with any sort of particular fun time dynamics on the go here, but it would be fun. And if we're going to take a little sort of, I know that I incorporated the wicks here of this as well, let's let's just go with it anyway, because for the actually no, let's not be too crazy on it. Let's just kind of go like that and pop this up above and give us a rough price target, since we already know that it would be mental, so we don't need to go too mental on things. And we can see that if we were to push up past that 10 cents area, it might be wise if you were to be looking at this, trading it. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, as you well know, nor is any of this financial advice, because like you've seen YouTube before, you know how that goes down. But what we're looking at here, of course, would be perhaps a potential decent area to be taking profit at. And if I do choose to play that cup with handle myself, then I would possibly bear that in mind in it around about that 10.5 cent area on the Dogecoin. That's probably going to do it for the Dogecoin TA, Dogecoin, Doge. But of course, this is the currency on planet Earth in the future, as Elon Musk said. In fact, let's just leave that on here so we never forget as well. As Elon said, the currency on planet Earth in the future. Right here for our viewing pleasure. No, not that one. There we go. It's of course this thing. So planet Earth in the future. Maybe we ought to also, just for the fun of this thing, go up to full screen chart, maybe up to something like the monthly chart over here. And just so we don't forget it in the future, we could of course draw on a nice big planet Earth. So it's blue planet Earth, I've heard, according to things. Nice flat circle there, as is accurate. There are of course some trees on planet Earth for us. Maybe we should make it green. I don't know, it's hard to know, but there we have planet Earth. And of course we know that this coin is of course going to come from around about these prices up to around about these, which puts it in of course eventually getting up towards 25 cents. But anyway, that's just an additional nice little extra for everybody who's tuned in live for this one. Then we'll go over towards TEL USDT. It might be nice to take a look at this. This is a thing called Telcoin. Have you ever heard of it before? I haven't. So there you go. But somebody did ask me to take a look at it in the comment section of one of my videos. And like I'm saying today, if you haven't heard the news already, if you want me to take a look at any other coins and you're not actually going to tip me to do it, then it's dead easy. There's a nice free and quick and simple easy way to do it. You have to tweet at me at this stage to have a chance of having something looked at. Anyhow, we'll take a look at the old Telcoin and see what it is about. And I thought for doing this that we would have a nice little bit of a mixture of TA, which will, here's your TA for this one, just real quick, real brief TA on this one. It go up, right? And for the people who asked when moon, well, the answer is maybe then was when moon. And of course, we're en route nicely, not experiencing a great degree of turbulence along the way as yet. Now, we are going to have to keep our eyes outside of the cockpit as we fly our wonderful spaceship up to the moon here, just to take a look at the weather conditions ahead of us. And we'll come back and do that in a moment to see if there are any pockets of low pressure, of course, which might see a degree of altitude volatility for our, of course, pleasant and short flight to the moon. But first off, we want to find out what in the hell is this thing even at all? What sort of options do you get? Click view details over here. This is my first real experience using this website for informations over here. Can we get something easy for us? Well, it's not jumping out at me in terms of website links. That's all good. Let's just go over to our friends CoinGecko, shall we? The old CoinGeckos, and there's a coin that I was chatting about one other time in the past, a little hidden gem for people if they're interested. But anyway, what was that thing we were looking at? Telcoin. Now, of course, I'm not shilling any of this nonsense. I don't get paid by Lunar Crush to talk about their services, neither do I get paid by CoinGecko or indeed Telcoin. But if you are out there looking for somebody to shill your stuff, then I'm your man to do that. Nice, transparent, and all the rest of it. I'll bring your idea to the community and let them decide if it's worthwhile or not. We've got this chart for Telcoin showing us that obviously it's been on the up and up. Is there not a little description for us about Telcoin? Well, it's today it's worth that, with a 24-hour trading volume of that number right there. It's up 85.8% in the last 24 hours, as according to CoinGecko right right now, it has a circulating supply of 54 billiones. Tell, well, that's quite a lot. That means there's enough for all of us on planet Earth to have, you know, a good 5 or 6 of them each, and a max supply of 100 billion. So, you know, no worries as well if you're looking for your grandkids to have 5 or 6 of them each as well. KuCoin is the current most active market trading it. Well, I have my own issues with KuCoin and will not go into that, but whatever, that's cool. It's got a lot of volume on there compared to a lot of these other smaller ones. Telcoin is a new cryptocurrency based on the Ethereum blockchain that will be distributed by your national telecom operator and made available to everyone anywhere by tapping into synergies between the reach of mobile telecoms and the fast borderless future of blockchain technology. Okay, so essentially they read the Dent white paper and decided to copy that, or indeed vice versa. Let's just check it out. We'll also, you know, as well, for people who are interested about Dent, what's Dent's description, and are you going to show me? Come on, Dent. Put my dent in my momentum there, CoinGecko. Our vision is to create a global exchange using Ethereum blockchain where everybody on this planet has the opportunity to buy and sell mobile bandwidth in any country, just like you buy foreign currencies on Forex. Well, there you go. There you go. That was obviously written by somebody who really knew what they were talking about. Great marketeering by that crowd. So Tell, that's an interesting one, and that's what it does. Do you want to see their website? Because maybe that's something of interest to folk when it comes to looking at these coins in a little bit more detail than simply looking at the charts. Here we have Telcoin's chart, Send Money Smarter. Well, I've not heard that one before. That's cool. They're breaking some new ground when it comes to blockchain over here with that premise. What else do they have though? Instant transfers by leveraging the blockchain technology. Oh, skip that one. Affordable, including fees and FX margin. The global average cost of sending remittance is over 7%. Telecom is targeting an average total cost of less than 2%. Who's targeting it? It's not targeting free or whatever. Anyhow, that's interesting enough, I suppose, but it's nothing massive. Telcoin works with mobile operators and e-wallets globally, allowing us to reach a broad base of users. Great, groovy, fantastic. It's very theoretical at this point. Do you not have any mobile operators on here? I don't recognize any of them as being mobile operators. Is Telin one? What's Telin? Sounds like some sort of sounds like something. Dependable global connectivity with low latency, resilient network, and diverse route options to and from Asia Pacific as the backbone highway to effectively connect your business. Meet the future connectivity business, right? Whatever, you know, it's nothing. So we're not talking about having like Vodafone or anything on there. You know, that would probably send this sort of thing to the moon if it had something like that. Let's click partners. Oh, that's partners right there. Okay, cool. So it's an idea. It's an idea. Do you want to see what Dent's website looks like? Let's check it out, because I mean, if we're going to be doing this sort of side by side type market comparison, might as well take a look. Dent also had a really big rise recently, interestingly enough. It's only up 25% in the last 24 hours, but as you can see, it kind of led the steeplechase here with regards to that movement. And where do we have the Dent website link on this one? dentwireless.com. And you can see this is somewhat better in terms of a website, maybe more along the lines of your H&M's, your Top Shops, or your like what your shops in America are called again, like whatever, you know, clothes shops. Like, it's more like a fashion website. Anyway, it's more, yeah, it appeals to the kids. It's got an MP4 background over there, for instance, on their main page, and so that's cool. You can see then that they've got various different things already kind of more scoped out, less along the lines of partners, more along the lines of pushing themselves as the main sort of idea behind it. Anyway, I guess Telsted is part of it. They're going to be distributed by telecoms providers, so maybe it's kind of one's going A to C or B to C, and one of them is going to go C to B in terms of business structure there on that one. Cool. Right, so for our chart, parabolic move towards the top side. We've obviously crossed a long time ago in terms of the golden cross, the moving averages on that one. We've actually had a cross over here. This is a lesson that I handed out for free the other day, but which I'll probably remove from the channel and put over on Patreon as part of the sort of the introduction, or not introduction, perhaps trading 201 or whatever, you know, or intermediate traders techniques or something like that, or advanced trading techniques. I really don't know how to classify these things. Anyway, we spoke about this the other day as we saw it happening across the board in the market, and then we saw a 51% drop following on from the golden cross here on the 24-hour time frame. Then ever since, we kind of not looked back, if you like. So let's just kind of quickly say then what we need to see continuing to happen on this coin for us to avoid having the good old-fashioned 80% post parabolic move capitulation event, as we are so familiar with from so many assets in the world across time. It just seems to happen. Here is a Fibonacci for us, and we know then, looking at this, that if the prices stay above 35, 0.00349, let's call it 0.0035, then we are, of course, sitting fairly pretty on this one, with, of course, the potential to continue to shatter expectations towards the top side. If we did fall down the way, though, we could be looking at getting a tasty entry again in there at 50% discount, in there at 0.02 down to 0.019, in fact 0.0018 on that one. How far did we manage to actually come with regards to, whoops, cancel that one, how far did we actually manage to come with regards to our upside movement over here, just lining these up perfectly for us? We went all the way past the 414 already, so you know things have absolutely exploded. At this point, it is always fair to say that you could expect to see a turnaround in the prices, but then of course that's a little bit kind of rich, is it not? In fact, how about instead we put on the parabolic SA to the motherfucking R, bitches, and see if we have any sort of ideas coming in here with regards to where you would then actually flip over at. And currently actually only really resides over here at the previous body close of this doji, and the doji following on from it, the kind of hammer that we had there at the previous top in the market over on the 17th of January. So you know that's where that's lining up with currently. We could see, of course, a huge crash down, and that would be taking you down to that 80% sort of area, you know, where you'd be looking to just kind of, you know, not be trading this anymore. Essentially, this is what you're getting at the minute. What I'm kind of pointing out is that you can stay in this if you're looking for a trending move and you're already in it, so long as you're more or less above the parabolic SAR, something that you might be interested in. If you want to add it to your charts, it's fairly easy. You just search parabolic SAR, don't add the strategy, just add the SAR itself, and then you'll have those stop and reversal points as identified by the J. Wallace Wilder Jr. strategy from his book New Concepts in Technical Analysis, published 1977. How was that for a bit of technical analysis on this thing? I can't say particularly much details, other than just perhaps by dropping down towards lower time frames and analyzing the hither and thither of this thing, but we're not going to get too carried away with the micro details, because this video has to last for more than a wee while. If anybody does indeed want me to do that for the right here and now, then perhaps let me know in the comments. Nice to see you, by the way, Sean Thomas, great guy there in the charts. And also a shout out to my other friends who are here who haven't had a wee shout out so far, or not even for a wee while, the likes of Northwest Nerd. Good to have you here, my friend, with your stinky linky. I hope you're having a great day. Nice to see you here, Swisher V Baby. Are you ready, Rocky? You asked earlier on, and I would say that yes, I am more or less prepared. Thank you for asking. And then we have is Remco our hero? Is he here? He's not here at the minute, but Stanley Knife as well. Evening all, he says. Evening all to yourself. Dent with a more kind of organic, dare I say it, looking chart here on the 24-hour time frame. Over here we saw the cross happened, another dynamic that I've pointed out numerous times in the past with regards to when crosses happen close to the price action itself, and we did actually see though the ultimate pullback here, but when the cross happened on this one, you can see we were so close to the price action, and we did actually get that subsequent rise up just afterwards, before of course coming back down to retest it in the very near future on the 50, moving towards the top side. What do we have here? Sean Thomas donated $99.98. Thanks for your work and content. You're the man, and a hell of one at that. Most undervalued. Let me bring up this thing here so I can see the full comment as well. Most undervalued channel on here, but sometimes it's not about the numbers and it's about what you do. Wow, thank you so much for that. I really, 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 really do appreciate it. Sean, you're a very, very, very nice guy. Here we have it, proof of the pudding for everybody who wants to see it. This guy is a really, really, really good one, and I would, and you know, I would like to say that I'm happy to have you and everybody else here as well, of course, as my friend. You know, and that's one of the best things. One of the best benefits that I've got since starting this channel here has been, of course, a great bunch of pals. Thank you so much for that, Sean Thomas. You, of course, are now currently sitting there as the name on the list, and I just see here it's not actually lined up perfectly. I majorly fail every time I go to realign these things. Let me know, Sean, if you want to take a look at anything in particular as well. Sean himself is a man who is proficient at TA, and and maybe he's just happy to be here for the community aspect of things and all that. That's fantastic. Very, very good. So what are we seeing here in terms of this rise up? Well, yes, like I say, dare I say it, more smooth and organic towards the top side. It did come in here and show us that we were getting on the parabolic SAR. Interestingly enough, a warning to us at the point where the cross came in. Incidentally, I didn't actually look that up on the Telcoin. Maybe that would be interesting to have seen, if we you know, just how these things interact. Yes, indeed, as well, right on there after the cross, but it was the price action that was negative that made that kind of inspiration follow through on that one for us. Anyway, so that, yes, but anyway, we're seeing the same thing here, but this was before the cross. And there was this negative kind of structure for us in terms of the price action having come right the back way down, with this rejection candle followed on by that green doji, giving us the full girth move for the next day. Wow, that was an unusual set of sirens that just went out there. A little bit of a police chase style thing that just happened. That was cool. Don't normally hear that. Well, you know, I hope everybody's safe, blah blah blah. So anyway, yeah, that's interesting. But then we broke it, of course, snapped its neck right off, and then went towards the top side. You know, what can I say here? A lot of profit taking happening. Perhaps some more smarter dent executives who have got perhaps, you know, some of their bags that they're looking to offload are doing it in a way that allows them to cash in the profits at the top and then re-enter them down below. Or indeed perhaps some whales are looking at this sort of crazy wick structure that we've got on the go at the tops here. Anyway, of course, the overall tide seems to be towards the top side here on this one, and likewise with the other, with the Telcoin. You know, you're not looking at necessarily having to get negative on this one until you come back down perhaps for a retest of the 50 simple period moving average. At the moment, when you're looking at these, perhaps, you know, it's worth bringing up something else to put a little bit of context onto the go here. Onto the go, well, there's a new coining of a phrase for you, and I minted that one. And if we look here, we can see that with regards to the price action, when we pushed outside the Bollinger Bands, came back down, retested it here, traced it somewhat, but then of course came back down again, and the enthusiasm is carrying us up the way. Body closures looking at coming in far closer to, of course, the standard deviation point number 2 away from this 20 simple period moving average here of the Bollinger Band. And I would then, of course, say to people, well, this of course is not financial advice, is merely me being a spirit guide for you here in the markets, that when you're looking at profit taking on these moves, perhaps it's wise to do so when you're so heavily extended outside of the 24-hour Bollinger Band, as we can see very much there is the case. Then of course the pattern flows down the way here in the 4-hour time frame. You can see a similar sort of effect, of course, but that's just that. Jumping back over to Telcoin to see how things are going with that one again with regards to the Bollinger Bands. This of course being that one that's one of the most popular mentioned coins on Lunar Crush. If you're just joining me today, that's why, just now, and you're wondering why I'm looking at this random thing, that's why, alongside of course a comment on one of my YouTube videos asking me to do it. And we can see, yes, again as well, this big move up the way here. We've got another candle that came back down, it retested the Bollinger Band with this wick, managed to push on up the way again. This candle here, 4-hour time frame by the way, doing the same sort of price action as well, making your trading somewhat safer and more reliable if you bring in these other concepts. Now if I add in other things as well, just in terms of overall trend breaks, you know, we broke outside of the Bollinger Band or the Donchian channel structure for the first time in terms of turning this around when the prices actually cracked up to that 0.012 area. Then it's been stair-stepping towards the top side. If we're looking at this on the 4-hour time frame, it's not that much of a huge surprise to see that the Bollinger Band, or the Donchian channel medium median line of this, which is identifying essentially the midpoint between the lowest wick of the last 20 periods on this 4-hour chart and the highest price point wick as well. Coming in here, lining up with the parabolic SAR, really telling you that unless, you know, if we do come back down and retest this 236 period, 236 Fibonacci point here on the charts, that we could indeed test down the way on further. This is an easy enough point to manage your risk at with that 35 area, and of course offers up a decent enough entry as well if you're looking for it. Now, I can't actually spell things out any more than that for you because I don't run a straight up signals sort of spoon feeding it to you type channel over here. Instead, what I do is I try to give you like 99.999999 recurring, of course, percent of the information that you could possibly need to be able to conduct yourself safely and consistently profitably in the market, and leave that 0.0001% there, of course, for you to discover yourself. And in that little grain is where exists the magic. I do actually have a degree of experience with coming up with sort of technical analysis here, which if you just meet me not even halfway, a tiny little bit of the way towards it, you'll massively enhance your own trading skills. Anyway, that's to leave off where we are just there for this one. Nice increase with the volume, of course. 4-hour time frame, you're seeing that we've got the trend of strength of trend massively in place. We're avoiding getting any bearish divergence here with this one. Overall, things are looking fairly rosy. Carrying that picture up towards the 12-hour time frame, you do actually start to see where the potential for bearish divergence come in at. You would need a fairly significant retrace on this one for this to even be bearish divergence in the first place confirmed. So what does that mean for you? Well, again, like, you know, this is one of the things that I should really put into educational videos, but think about it a little bit for a second, in terms of the counterintuitive nature of this thing. And you'll get some inspiration from here. Now, I also wanted to maybe point out on this that we can see on the 24-hour time frame that there is of course as well that potential for divergence here on the no sure thing bad boy. When you look back in the past, of course, we're way up high, and you're just comparing between these 2 points and compared to previous comparison points in the past, we've obviously of course exceeded all and every expectation. This is of course slanted towards the top side, currently in that bullish stance, and likewise over here with RSI we are looking very good, you know, very much in the extreme bullish zone, but there are warning signs to be had. If things go down the way, then this all ties together. Well, actually, this is the second half of that sentence, you know, seeing this happen, and if we did actually get the divergence there at the top, then we push down past these key areas we've already mentioned in terms of risk management for you, then what you're looking at, of course, is the foundation that you would need to properly justify an 80% retrace on the cards if you were to break that parabolic trend. And if you were to look down 80%, where does that take you to? Well, way past the 50% mark we already identified as the 618, where it would be last sort of, you know, last resorts, but it takes you back down to what is arguably, of course, our last period of decent reflection and inflection in the market. So what would I really love to see for the future health of this coin right now? And you can see it kind of over there on the dent chart, which we'll check out just a second again, because all of these lessons, if you're kind of missing dent, why are you talking so much about Telcoin again at this moment in time and not making that comparison fully with dent? All of that will kind of be self-explanatory for you when you actually look at the dent chart. But of course, we'd like to see some inflections along the way here, so we can actually have a little bit more of that decent support and resistance levels to be able to reflect on in the future, as we could see if we look over at the dent chart and make the same sort of points with regards to our 24-hour time frame oscillators, etc. We have got the bearish divergence over here, but looking down at the charts, we can see that there is the previous level of support and our inflection in the market, at least in here at the median line of the Donchian channels, without having to actually do that full retrace. And that is where that word organic come from. That's of course maybe going to do in terms of overloading you with educational content for today, because look, let's face it, 99% of the market isn't actually tuning in, or the audience isn't actually tuning in here necessarily to be taught everything all at once in the one session, and that's a fair enough amount to be digesting for the next couple of days till we meet up again for the next live stream. If you are interested in supporting this channel and making sure that there's going to always be those live streams, then remember there is of course a Patreon which you can join. It is patreon.com/rocky.outcrop. No great surprises there, and as well a massive thank you to everybody who is a member on the YouTube platform for me to in terms of, you know, actually having hit that join button. You're welcome to do that. If you want to support the channel though, and all of these things feel just a little bit out of reach for you at the minute, then that like button is of course within right and easy access for you. Go ahead and click it. Moving on then with the show, we'll have to jump back over to our list of coins over here on Lunar Crush and see what we have coming in as this number 2 area. Now it's Pundy X. Jumping back over to Coin Gecko, we can put in Pundy X into here and get a little bit of the old description about it for us and see what the heck this thing even is. Now this is something that's been around for a lot longer than some of the others, so you can see there's a lot more price action history here, and of course it's had 3 great moves in the recent past, starting over here with the in the very recent past here, starting over here with the initial rise up towards the 0.0005 area, continuing to move on up and capturing 0.0006, then again on up the way and capturing 0.0007. Wow, it is playing it by and painting by numbers over here. Now Pundy X, a lot more chit chat about it in its box down below. Obviously they believe a little bit more in describing what they're up to, as opposed to just kind of saying shiny telephone company, network, fast transactions, 2% max fee. It's definitely the future, which is essentially the underpinnings of what we've got in terms of the description of Telcoin, in terms of what they're willing to put out there currently. Hopefully they're, of course, they're working on great things behind the scenes, and with a little bit more digging maybe I'd find that sort of thing out. Now what's happening over here with Pundy X is the company's working on developing a card which they're naming the X Pass card, which works together with the mobile app and wallet, enabling payments and deposits by card, a familiar medium for most that are pulled from the mobile wallet. In addition, users should be able to see the current market price of each cryptocurrency before paying for goods and services, allowing them to pay with cryptocurrency that brings the best value at the time. This ability to pay for things easily with cryptocurrencies is what will finally give them real value in a widespread sense. That isn't actually, again, setting the heather afire as we look at the likes of Crypto.com, for instance, having started their adventure into this whole world a little bit later on. It goes to show you that sometimes, in terms of like having great vision and ideas and the tenacity to keep working at them throughout bullish and bearish phases in markets, maybe goes slightly against you compared to simply just buying an off-the-shelf domain name for many millions of dollars and seeking that investment. Then, of course, doing what Crypto.com love to do and setting up their own token to then pump it using so-called half-price Bitcoin purchases. What a strategy. They flew from zero to hero. If you are looking to pick up one of these cards where you can pay for your dinner, get cash back and all the rest of it on your cryptocurrency, then you can get one in hand quite quickly and easily by going and signing up to Crypto.com. If you're interested in that, then of course I have an affiliate link in the description down below for you for it if you want to pick one of those things up. Now that's not the only people to do it. The other crypto card services are available, putting more pressure on this so-called talented group of technologists and entrepreneurs. It is, of course, 2021. Everybody that's born in the world is a technologist, in my opinion, these days anyway, whether they kind of know it or not, because my goodness, the future is what happens whether you are prepared for it or not. And then we get it all forced upon us, you know, and you can see it happening because the really silly billies out there at the minute who are going to go on to be the grannies of the future are currently using the likes of Instagram to get $1 million careers for showing off their bottoms, and of course try and explain how to show your bottom off to get $1 million to your granny, and she's not going to understand it. So I guess, you know, we're all technologists at the end of the day. The glaring expectation to this is CEO and founder Zach Cha, who was formerly a HTML games developer, but perhaps this is why he surrounded himself with such a strong team. The president of Pundy X constantly Konstantin Papadimitrou has a long history of founding successful fintech companies and scaling them, which makes him an ideal fit for a project that will need rapid growth and adoption. Again, exactly, it would need it, because the likes of crypto.com might get invented in the meantime if you don't move quickly enough. Isn't that right, Konstantin Papadimitrou? And then we've got Pit Huang, created and sold his first business by the age of 25 and went on to create and sell several more businesses, including one that had over 200 employees. I wonder what age he is now. Let's check out Pit Huang on the Google. Then we'll go over and do some TA, because of course fundamentally most of the stuff that we'll see here is of course baked into the price action essentially anyway. There he is there. It's hard to tell what age he is from his wee photo. Let's see, does it have any more information about him just here? Okay, well, ADHD is going to have to be the winner here on this one, as I get bored looking for that one and just jump back over to the charts. Right, so NPXS is what is the number 2 story of the day over there on the Lunar Crush social rankings chart. Let's just see how this one's looking. Not too dissimilar to the likes, of course, of Dent, making me want to revise what I was saying there when I was kind of having a laugh talking about whale and of course the insiders selling off at the correct times and being savvy and smart about it and using the right levels. Instead, really, we're just kind of seeing this dynamic in the markets, and what it really signals is a degree of exuberance, which is of course exploding up the way, and then smart money then thinking to themselves, well, what we can do, whether that's of course a retailer who has their head screwed on, or indeed a big wallet or a big whale or an institution or whatever you want. Not very many of them trade in NPXS, to be perfectly honest with you. But anyway, what you're seeing there is them just kind of selling into that and allowing the price to then drop back down again, so that they can, of course, ride that wave. This could change at any time. How would we know that it would change? And quite honestly, the best method in terms of just simply understanding this and seeing it in front of your eyes is going to probably be to take a look at the Fibonacci retracement points for us. If we go down past the 236, it's the same sort of story as what we talked about with regards to Telcoin and Dent. However, of course, we can see that we have various levels of support in the past and a little bit more interesting stuff to take a look at in the at the meantime. Lining up with the parabolic SAR dot on this chart is the previous low over here, and I could suppose that for this chart, just to kind of mix it up a little bit compared to what we looked at previously, I suppose it wouldn't be too far beyond me to use a few horizontal lines over here. This one, of course, being the red line. This is a very scary looking line, and it should be colored appropriately. Then we also have as well the next area for us right now to be aware of, 24-hour chart, but we can see that this is the midpoint right here between the highs and the lows overall, which is probably this high. Then previously, of course, we have the new high coming in, so this is going to drag up the way, as we can see. But we had previously we had this high and this high down here as being the two major highs and lows. So I can just show you this working in terms of that median line of the Donchian channel, so that you go away from this fully understanding how it works. In terms of the 50% area, well, it was short-lived, so it wasn't that high. It was this high. No, it wasn't that high. It was this high at this point here. Yes, for this is the last 20. Let me just get up the ruler so I can stop making a fool of myself. 20 bars back. Where do we have 20 bars back? Yes, of course, yes. So it was between these two highs here, and that's why the 50% area lines up with, of course, the median line of the Donchian channel. 50% between the high here and the low here is where that orange line was for that whole period of time there. So then, of course, going back 20 periods from this point, it cuts out this low, pushes everything up the way, and that creates a little bit of an interesting dynamic. In terms of the range that we have for us potential-wise towards the downside, of course, is a little bit bigger than just simply saying that that we could be looking back to the previous to the median line of the Donchian channel. We'd have to remember that we had a deep low here, a big retracement down the way. This is perhaps one of those opportunities where you could look to well, actually no, scrap that, just moving on. Wait, so what we want to do is take us Fibonacci, there we go, back on track, Rocky, from the lows over here at this point just here where we had that previous significant low up to the highs that we've had so far today and say, well, where does the 236 come in at? And of course it's very, very challenging for us, and it lines up with the previous high quite nicely. So we can put this one in here and we can give this one maybe an orange coloring or something like that to give us the median line. Well, let's give this one a green coloring actually, and we'll find an orange line in the middle of this zone to be looking to, and I'd say it's probably going to come in here at around about the 618 for us if we're going to be saying this is the next decent turnaround zone for us. And I'll just stick it in the middle of the golden pocket here and we'll make it nice and orange for us. So we have the three key areas. Going to remove this off the chart, then that Fibonacci, and say that, you know, this is the green line that we want to stay above. A couple of reasons for it, really. As you can see, it's not too difficult to see it with your eyeballs, that we had the previous high in this area. That was a failed attempt at a nice arrow. Oh, failed attempt again. Okay, that'll do. That was our previous high in at that area. So of course breaking this line here, which is the 236 Fibonacci, is also breaking down past our previous high and then is going down past the previous, you know, the price action operating at a level which is lower than the previous area on the Donchin channel. So this is really just an exploration of that idea. As I look back in the charts and I show you, for instance, we had a previous area in terms of the previous high over here, and we also then came up the way as we saw in this period thereafter, and at this point over here on the charts we actually had broken, in fact it was this point in here, it was at this point in here that we broke the previous level. Really, this one here, this previous level in between times, that's all part of that upward structure. It doesn't, you can, there's only like a degree, you know, a tiny fraction of a fraction difference between those two. That's not a realistic statement to make, especially given that price action never even actually broke that line. So what we're looking at is the previous one, which was actually broken with the movement towards the top side. Looking over here and saying, well, at this point here we broke down past that previous area and drawn in the Fibonacci's from the lows more or less towards the highs more or less, and seeing that that was breaking down past the 50% area. So, you know, going back over to what we're looking at the minute and saying that if we break down past that area, could we then of course then come on down towards the 50% area? Well, yes, and with any degree of momentum at all, then your best hope for a bounce is going to be in there at that orange line looking down towards the 30474. Of course that is a big drop off from where we are right now, and the parabolic SCR would have you staying positive on this one until such times of course as the prices drop down by over 60% from where they are currently. So you're looking down there towards the 303 area for that. First warning comes in at 306, and that's maybe perhaps where to look to should things not change in the meantime for your next higher low re-entry area for us. If we were to be looking at the price action operating in a sort of along a schedule like this before going up the way, that's a little bit further to the right. I don't mean that in terms of a time basis, just simply in terms of the price action movements itself. I wanted to make that the same color as the downward candle. Bring me my options. Oh, there's my options still up on screen. There's the candles down below. That's didn't work. Whatever. Whoops. This sort of an idea would be acceptable. But going obviously down towards that and before flying on up the way, that would be what you'd be looking for in that sense. That really is the technicals on these things, because of course they are the hype coins of the moment. It is of course absolutely no surprise to anybody therefore to see them occupying those top spaces as the incumbent most talked about coins of the moment on Lunar Crush. Now, coin of the day has been allocated to a Digibyte on this website. Let's see what they say a coin of the day is. Every day we pick a random coin and unlock all social markets for 24 hours. Create an account. It's free to access all indicators and crypto research tools across all coins. Well, there we go. That's the coin of the day. So let's take a look at all their crack that they have on the go for this. Well, I'm doing a good job of selling this for them, haven't I? I think maybe I should back off a wee bit. Seeing Reddit volume up here, 166.8%, while the rest of the volume right across the board is hugely down. Wonder why? Can I see any sort of details on that? Overall, is it just that we have if this has been mentioned. Is this being mentioned by somebody about to be banned on the likes of Wall Street Bets? And are they going to be told to relegate themselves back over to R investing? I wonder. I think Elon is secretly buying DGB, Digibitcoin. I wonder, wouldn't that be great? I'm sure that he buys everything that he buys in absolute secret. So there's a wee tip for you. His most recent announcement, of course, is the news. So that's not the rumor. Anyway, Digibite to dollar is a lot easier than Dodge to a dollar. Get on with it, crypto land. Well, is that even true? We'll have to check out the charts for this thing in a second. Anyway, we're seeing that this is exclusively occupying the rise on their volume over there in terms of their chit chat on Reddit. So I wonder what that's all about. If there's any insights to be had with that one, you'll have to compare it yourself in the future if you are using this thing with other coins. Am I going to sign up for a premium membership of it? I most certainly am not. Anyway, the overall increase in social volume is a little bit false in that sense that it's kind of confined to one arena. You'd think if there was something worth talking about, really it would be talked about in more places than just one. What's that all about? Is there then some nice pump and dump fun for us to have for us? Now, what is it called? DGB, Digibite, USDT, and that is what we'll be taking a look at just now for a moment or two. And by the way, if you're wondering, whoa, Rocky, when are you going to take a look at our normal coins? We'd like to look at Bitcoin and all the rest of it, then don't worry, we'll be taking a look at them soon. And I'm just checking in here at the chat and I can see Sean Thomas, no specific coins here for support. Oh, no specific coins. That was in relation to me saying, would you like me to look at anything in specific? He's just here for support, and cause anytime I watch, there's always something to learn. This is a never ending learning process. Wow, what a guy. Absolutely, completely 100% true. That one. Nice to see you here, by the way, as well, to Kevin King and Bob Mo and Marcin and anybody else who's joined us in the meantime. If you have just joined us recently, be sure to drop a like on this most fantastic of videos. And yeah, once again, by the way, Sean, thanks so much. You're welcome. Can't put a price on what's come out of this whole channel and community. That is just wonderful. And we are a relatively small community. If you want to see something, if you want to be a part of a crypto technical analysis, fun, entertaining, enjoyable community where you're probably going to increase your ability to trade from average to way higher than average quite quickly with the support and friendship that you might want to do that, rather than an austere environment or indeed one that's full just simply of crazy swear words and nonsense chat. This is the place for you, and you can absolutely find a link for free, of course, to join the Discord where we chat regularly on the regular. So we're just a small community, as you can see on YouTube, 2,203 subscribers currently. I wonder if we'll get any more subscribers during this video. It doesn't happen all the time, but one day we will see, of course, the coins doing what the stats of the channel doing what we saw happen on all of these cryptocurrencies recently and just flying through the roof. If you want to be part of the ground floor there, then this is the way to do it, and get in early. We've seen the price of DGB over the last wee while go up 195%. It's not messing about. It's gone up an awful lot, but we have, of course, dropped down in terms of the price action today. Already a 13% movement back down the way. We've had this as our previous significant low. We could, if we wanted to, draw on a Fibonacci retracement point from, of course, our last inflection low before we rose towards the top side. But I think if we're fair about this price action to ourselves and our eyeballs, that this section here is where we've seen the uprise in pricing of this thing ever since that particular low, and this section here was, of course, a downwards trend from the 15th of August, like so many cryptos, right up until the late December period, or indeed for some the start of this year. And bringing out the Fibonacci retracement tool then and popping that in with that previous low and taking up to our high, then the most reasonable 236 point probably comes in here at 0.04294. Over here we see the prices are currently 0.044, and in some senses maybe that goes along with the slight pump and dump nature that we saw in terms of their social rankings, whenever Lunar Crush let us see behind the scenes slightly in terms of what they were talking about with it not being distributed, and in terms of that's getting a push up somewhere, it's in one arena rather than another. You know, it's not like Elon Musk has got everybody in the world talking about this one, essentially, is what that boils down to, and we are coming right in now for a challenge of it. What I would of course love to see happen would be for that to just be a challenge and be able to sustain the price action further on up towards the upper side with any reasonable retracements along the way, not coming down to the targets that we see here on the Fibonacci retracement tool on the right hand side. If we were to just simply retrace as far as the 236, that would be absolutely fine by me. Looking at the previous price action where we had these previous lows in, however, it does seem fairly ominous when we look towards where a nice natural low would be when we regard our structure on the market. Taking in our previous highs here, I'm going for the body closure here and the subsequent wick up, giving me 2 points on this one to say, okay, this is an area for us where if we cross down below it, things get, of course, rather tasty. Now, you are welcome to short these coins. I am not somebody who simply insists that the world must go up always for everything to be in the correct order of things, but that is then the green line for us here for taking those shorts, coming in at that 429 area. Easy enough to manage your risk, preferably, of course, like I say, what we obviously want to see happen is for us to be able to get an easy risk management zone like this for us. When we look between the two areas on this and we want to drag in something that gives us a nice risk to reward ratio, then what would you be looking for? If we were to go up towards our previous highs simply then wanted to kind of get a 5-to-1 ratio on this one, then you're looking at having the option of doing that not too difficultly without much difficulty. Hey, how about that? Easy enough to do that, looking at a push that is somewhere between the 236 and the 382. Try not to get faked out too much for us here on this one. If it does go down the way, then, you know, looking at these areas thereafter are probably fairly solid bets, unless we really and absolutely capitulate. The zone to be aware of in terms of that kind of danger zone really comes in at around about this sort of area. Pushing past that could then come in towards those danger targets that we really don't want to see being broken at all. This is an Alamo for us here and at the 50% line, and it's at that point that I'm going to choose to draw in the red horizontal line for us. I would not like to be holding on to longs here, trying to convince myself that this won't go the way of various other coins past this point. Now, of course, at that point, when if we were to go traversing down past these areas and then come back up again, having found our footing in around about the 618 golden pocket, if that were to happen, then of course this offers you up a most fantastic and easy to manage risk area for you if you bring yourself back around to this point here to trade it towards the top side. What that person said in terms of it's easier to get this one to $1 than it is to get Dogecoin to $1, well, or Dogecoin to $1, well, just quick comparisons here in terms of what we're looking at. That's not what I meant there, sorry. What we're looking at here, you can see that this is within, you know, with a 25% move to get us to that $1, whereas you're looking at an over 100% move to get to the oh wait, sorry. Right, I'm not going to go down that road of trying to do maths on air and getting it all wrong and looking like an idiot. Sorry, because of course that would only take us up to 10 cents. Sorry about that. Lol. Laugh away. But we need a bit more than a 25% move on both of these coins. What really, in terms of the fundamentals behind this has none. So there's that. Digibyte has got other fundamentals to it, of course, but they're not based around memes so much. It's interesting, but we're seeing this as an issue now. If we do, I'm on the wrong chart now. Which one was I on before where I had my drawings? That sucks. I can go back. Haha, touche, trading view, trying to catch me out yet again. Well, it didn't work, because here we have the drawings back again. Excellent. Yeah, well then you can see here that we have, in terms of the price action, come down quite close to the 236 in terms of the most recent. Bring up the 4-hour time frame here. The most recent 4-hour candle, we've already come down and given us a sort of that 2-in-1 head and shoulders, or wash and go your shampoo and your conditioner here, by getting our top end coming in at the very top of this area, and then of course a full retrace back down towards the 236 in the one move with a nice solid entry for you. This is the, you saw the likes of Cardano doing before rising on up the way and just keeping that beat going. So that's great and everything, easy to manage your risk. Like I say, in amongst all these areas, we've already explored that in a good degree of detail. Like I say, 99.999 recurring percent towards being able to, of having actually logged into your trading account and taken over your trading for you. But you're going to always have to find a degree of responsibility within the markets yourself. In terms of how this trend is ongoing, we have got really nice movement here on the ADX. Obviously, staying above the 236 over the next couple of days is probably going to go hand in hand with staying above the 40 point on this one, and then continuing that upward trend. And look out in case we did get any sort of capitulation event happening, pushing us back down the way on that one. Might give you that early signal that there's a little bit more to go, gas in the tank. We have got a little bit of the old bearish divergence there in terms of this high. Compared to our previous high, we haven't really had a big enough pullback to really say that that's locked in there, and for us to be able to simply burn that out and go towards the top side is very much still on the cards. And we can see that quite easily by looking towards the bullish control zone. On this one, seeing that the bullish control zone is actually in between the previous low here and here and here and here and here and here, and where we have come down most recently. So if you were to be taking a sort of bet off the back of this finding you as your support, then that's reasonable enough for you. Maybe jumping down towards a lower time frame would give any more insights. There's none of that divergence just between these two highs. That's decent to see. Finding support here could get us that push up the way. I think this is the risk management zone to be aware of, is of course right here in the here and now with these current price action targets for us, which means if you happen to be watching this after the fact, then be sure to hit that like button, of course, because then you'll have seen how this played out. But the more importantly perhaps for you, the subscribe button and that notification bell, so that you can come back and see these videos as they happen, because like Sean Thomas says, there is always something to be learned here on this channel. By the way, sorry to say it, by the way, Stanley Knife, you maybe didn't tune in quite early enough to hear my announcement, but if anybody wants me to take a look at another coin, there's two ways of getting that to happen. One, you submit a tip, of course, as well. You've got the likes of Sean Thomas out there really helping support the channel without actually even asking for a coin to be had. So that puts things into context for you. So you could do the tip aspect of things, or at least kind of meet me halfway by tweeting at me and asking in another social media platform. If you don't know what my Twitter is, it's of course rocky_outcrop. Checking my notifications right now, I'm seeing that I'm not getting anybody asking me to take a look at any particular coins right now, so I'm not gonna. But actually looking over here, I can see that we have got the XTZ team out there showing its support to me, as it so often does. Big shout out to the likes of course Castle Tez, and we have Tezos Ranger, Rosa, and various other folk out there in the Tezos community. And you know what, why not give back where the giving is good? Let's jump on over towards our friend Tezos, and in fact not use that list there. Instead I'll go to my all list here, where I have a few different options for the old Tezos McSchnezos as well. So thanks so much to everybody. And in fact, probably I would be remiss not to hit the stream marker area, so that I know to come back to this area if I want to snip this out for us now. Okay, cool, excellent. Bringing up the charts full screen, jumping up towards a decent time frame to look at the old Tezos here. We can see that the 618 golden pocket has of course been that profit taking target that we identified so well recently in the past with Tezos. Isn't it fantastic to see this happening time after time? Well, if you're trading this thing, then you're in good company, and of course as well you're getting good company in it around about key areas. We are continuing to move towards the top side. We are still seeing that the parabolic SAR is telling me to stay in my long trades at this moment in time, unless we see the prices coming back down this price point in here at around about $2.67. What else do we have in that area? area, 24-hour time frame, we also have the golden cross area right in at that zone. If we were to come down to this price, it would mean by the point at which we did that, we'd actually broken the 50 simple period moving average. So maybe keep an eye out for the 50 simple over the period of the next few days and see if we break that, then there's a good chance we'll go on to test the 200. In terms of just the structural look at this thing from a point of view of course, the pitchfork ideology, we can see that of course the median line lines up with that perfectly as well, giving you a whole bunch of reasons to be paying extra attention to this area in the price action. But we are quite a way away from there. Notably at $3.04 or so, we can see that is where the 382 reside, the 50% Fibonacci resides, and that is, wait a minute, where is the 382? Because I can see here that's not on that. This is which is what my subconscious. If you're wondering what happened, Rocky, how come you made a faux pas with your language there? Well, what I was thinking at the same time as speaking is, where is the 382? And seeing that perfectly lines up more or less, and I say perfect, you know, ironically. No, unironically. There we go. Even better. So I say it perfectly. And here with our median line of the parallel channel, all that good stuff, and it's coming in at around about 270. Wow, that would be the next best buy area if we see a pullback, like I said to somebody in the comments of the YouTube video recently. But we would need to be aware at that stage if we actually saw closures below it. It's not hard to identify this on the charts. It's very, very easy. In fact, we can see all of these bodies managed to close up above that area, and if we saw the price action descend down this way and then come here and get a body closure which actually breaks this area and then move on down the way again afterwards, you're looking at a very, very, very different scenario to simply coming down here, wicking, and then going off again on higher thereafter. What is that different scenario? And it's quite simply that we'd be breaking the previous low area for us on the price action in there. What color shall I make my arrows for the next 10 minutes? Make them yellow for the next wee while. So yeah, so we'd be breaking this area in here if that. Oh, I just undid the color thing. C'est la vie, say the old folks. Goes to show you never can tell. We would be breaking that structure for us, and that would be summer fruits, if you're asking. No, that would be, of course, negative, and then we could be seeing further problems for us. We'd have various different ideas, and there's something to be said for kind of looking at for patterns in it around about this section as well of the old price action. Should we see something like that happen, what do we see with this low here, having not had the same extension down the way as the previous lows? That last arrow was a bit much. If we'd actually seen, like we saw with the previous two lows, 1, 2, I really do need to have a better color though, 1, 2, then we would be looking at having tested the 50 simple period moving average. Now we didn't actually do that with our previous low, meaning that we came in for a higher low, which was great and everything, but of course price action narrowed somewhat, which puts even greater emphasis on that area of price. What we also see is that the 50% area, which we know is very key, lines up perfectly in terms of the structure that we have with the biggest nodes on the VPVR. Seeing a big drop off here right to this area where we have the next area of support coming in at. Again, want to emphasize it, if we come down here and wick down, touch it, jump away again, good news. If we come down here, get body closures down here below our previous structure, challenging this area with any degree of real gusto, that's bad. Do I actually expect that to happen? No, I'm just offering up a little bit of insight, because if we did see something happen with regards to this most recent movement, taking into account the last three highs, 1, 2, 3 in terms of that structure, and looking here between the last couple of lows, linking this in together means movements down past the wick of today is potentially breaking the structure on what could be conceivably a wedge in here on this one, giving you a movement potential, a movement potential for us, taking us down towards below that area. Now, what that would actually ultimately be in terms of the price action and with these highs and lows is all boils down to your perception of this area. Because if you were paying close attention, I said 1, 2, 3 when I drew in that wedge, but really, is this a previous high? Is that really the previous high? How about we also ask, is this really the previous low? Is it really? Are we just looking at this as being the low, this as being the low, and coming in for a move down the way to put in our third higher low, overall resulting in having a channel towards the top side rather than having a wedge? Because if you watch this channel a lot, and it'll give you no prizes for saying what comes up next, you have a wedge, a move off a wedge. Bearing in mind that the 2 points here are the same, a move off a wedge often becomes a parallel channel. That's what you'd be looking at there. What do I want to see happen instead? Because that's your negative case scenario for you. And really it comes into, again, our previous high. What we need to do, of course, is continue to move towards the top side, and then we have really good targets up above. The first target for us currently resides in here at 382 or so. Let me just see, it's a little bit low, 382 or so, coming up here for our next target towards the top side if we do push on past this zone. Is that possible? Well, let me remind you as well that a wedge which breaks out could go in either direction. In a bullish market, you've got a greater likelihood of the less likely scenario of a rising wedge breaking towards the top side actually occurring. What we have here is, when we look back at the same time, more of a 50-50 case scenario, having had a trend and move towards the top side and then a big drop down. 50-50, you could say, on the 24-hour time frame, jump up towards the weekly, and you can take off all the drawings here and say that, yeah, I guess there's a bit of confirmation on that one for us. It hasn't necessarily had that on the grandest scheme of things, but we did see before then a trend up the way, and that would put you in for a really disgusting looking head and shoulders here between these three highs, with failure to overall actually continue to move towards the top side. So really we do want to see this trend continue so that we can buck any of those sorts of problems and not let that happen. By buck I mean, like, you know, a horse that chucks it off the back. We don't want to see that actually continue to ride us and take us to the rodeo in terms of our accounts. Of course not. Instead, we want to see things continue up the way. Keys for doing that mean that we need to, of course, not break down past those key areas that we've already identified of the 50% and of course the 382. I don't want to see us coming in for a 618 golden pocket retrace. Whoops, sorry. I don't want to see us coming in for a 236 Fibonacci retrace. The worst that I would be willing to tolerate would be a golden pocket retrace, taking it from that previous low and looking in here and seeing that the golden pocket then, of course, as you could have guessed had you been watching this channel for quite some time, or indeed doing this technical analysis at home, would be where the 618 resides between the previous low, which we identified as being the real one, and then the actual following on subsequent high, which we're identifying right now as being much more real than this one, going between those two zones, giving you that perfect, incredibly full-on assessment of the markets without even having looked at any oscillators or anything like that down below. But what are they saying down below? I hear you cry from the balconies around the world. And what we can see is, of course, the continuation of the bearish divergence here on the MACD that we identified before. It's the same overall scenario looking between this area and the previous one. You've got the class B, those are three class A situations, and the continuation in terms of a lack of bullish, hidden bullish divergence when we're looking at our lows overall. That, of course, is not super fantastic. So what we really want to see is, of course, pushing on past this zone. Does it make a degree of sense then that we're experiencing that? And yes, it does, and we know that because we're right here at the most significant point in terms of the retrace from our highs that we had in August 2020 down to our biggest lows that we had back there in December 2020, and we've risen up very nicely since, overall in an upward trend. We've just had the golden cross here. Is it enough to say that this movement down upon the time of the golden cross, and don't be, don't forget, I explained this in a great detail over there on the episode on Friday that this 12% movement down the way was of course extremely likely to happen because of this golden cross looming over us. So far then we've just continued to go up the way, putting us in an area where when we jump down to a lower time frame we're probably going to experience something along the lines of this TA. Now you might be wondering as well, by the way, right now, why are you doing it like this, Rocky? Why are you giving such expert technical analysis out to a particular subsection of your audience? And there is a reason for it. It's because I want to deliver this to the TA, to Tezos, and help them all out in the world, because I love my old Tezonians out there in the world, and I'm just trying to be a good guy. Brilliant, right? So if you like the idea of that, then hit the thumbs up button. So we're on the 24-hour time frame. This doesn't look like anything much at all. We jump down towards the 12-hour time frame. We're starting to see something perhaps in here. We jump down towards the 4-hour time frame, and now we're really starting to see a particular picture start to emerge. And maybe it's a little bit unfair of me to be classifying it the way that I did initially. Now on the 24-hour time frame, you can see why I did that. We're looking at a high, and then just kind of failure to really to take out those areas with these wicks. And then when we go down the way towards the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we've actually had a number of body closures up very similar in terms of their height towards the top end. Maybe instead what we're looking at is something along the lines of a sort of ascending triangle from within the confines of our top end consolidation within the potential larger wedge, which could, if this were to break, form a parallel channel, or indeed could see us breaking the channel. Now channel breaks don't actually have measured moves, but let me just do this one first off here and draw it in. You can see that if we did break this towards the downside to some degree or another, the idea and the notion that what we'll be analyzing next week as this channel would of course be very, very, very clear. But what if we broke this towards the top side instead? We'd actually just be breaking the structure of the channel. Now there's a couple of things that need to be pointed out here at this stage. It would be unfair of me to not be remiss of me to not point out that on this time frame that would actually perhaps just take us up towards the top end of what could be a channel. Let's consider this to be, in terms of massive trending movements, at the top end for us, and that brings us back to the target, which really needed very little introduction earlier on the show, of course 382, like I already spoke about. It's nice to see everything coming together, isn't it? But if we do move on up past that zone, then we're looking at a couple of things happening at once, and we're of course breaking the area here. Now I don't go in for channel break measured moves. I don't do this sort of thing. Instead I tend to look towards, you know, just the general emphasis in the market being a resumption of upward trend in action, and you'd like to see that because of the 618. But let's be sure to be aware of the key area just above the 618, in there at the 380 area, where we have the 786 representing our fake out zone, and the top end of the pitchfork, where we also have the extension leading up the way if you were to be going into this zone, and that would be the general expectation anyway, as opposed to a full measured move, that we could trend up here with higher highs and higher lows along the way, with an ultimate target then thereafter of 446. And at 446 is where you get the craziness that happens that we've seen in numerous other altcoins. There'll be a lot of people coming here, and you would rapidly see Tezos rise up the old social rankings here from wherever it is currently positioned. In fact, where is it currently positioned? If I just search for XTZ, oh, cancel, remove that, find XTZ, where are you? We're not getting an easy find on that list on the top coins of the day, so you'd rapidly see that one getting up here on that, at that stage of that happening, where you have all the people coming along and saying, I'm too late to the party. Too late to the party? Well, that's probably the perfect segue to go over towards the next coin. By the way, you might have noticed that I'm very, very much on, I'm not taking very much time out to chat with the chat. Is that, if that's a negative thing, then let me know. Let me know if that's a negative thing. I'm going to go on to take a look real quick at Cardano Dandos here, and then I'm going to take a look at the 3 remaining core coins that we look at on a daily basis of course, Bitcoin, Chainlink, and Ethereum, and then I will probably be saying Chiro after that. But of course, there'll be plenty of time for chit chat in the chit chat box. before I go anywhere. Looking over here at Cardano, we can see that we have continually moved towards the top side, and our next target in here at 74 cents, where we have the 41414, the 4414 is of course still very much on the cards. There is a very clear possibility of having a wedge here, as we've had so many times along the way. If this were to break again, then you're just looking at the same sort of volatility towards the top side as being your most statistically likely outcome, going at what we've seen in recent history, which would actually carry us on past the 414 up into this sort of uncharted territory. And I'm happy enough to remove that Fibonacci from here off the charts, taking us of course for higher all-time highs, and the next target up the way being 81 cents. Right. He can speak. It speaks. Yes, he does. It speaks. Taking us up towards our next target of 81 cents. If we get a nice positive resolution, movements down the way takes us down towards the parabolic SAR point. And of course, you know, at this point here, the reason why the parabolic, not the reason why, because this is based on maths, but looking at this from a holistic strategic point of view, the real sort of area to be aware of course, lining up here with our previous lows, breaking that market structure, taking that full move out, does mean that there is a definite change in flavor on the market by breaking down past that point over there. What is that point, Rocky? I hear you asking. And that is back there at those 60s areas. There's a nice 20% drop off in the technical analysis after last week when we talked about the potential for a pullback, as I spoke about with yourself out there, Silicon Chat, if you're watching this particular episode. And this is your current TA yet again for you. Don't be coming to me, by the way, anybody, and asking me, is it too late to buy? Overall, too late to buy is something that you should probably, every single one of us in crypto world, should get tattooed right across our foreheads. No is the answer. If anything, the 10 years has taught us in terms of the grand scheme of things, is it too late? Then the last decade has told us that it's probably not too late, as we see Elon Musk just forking out $1.5 billion allegedly for the first time recently with regards to Bitcoin. Now, I think a type of guy like the one that would have invented PayPal would have a good idea about cryptocurrencies, and it's probably not his first foray into these markets. Nevertheless, let's treat it like it is and be aware that 10 years after the get go button is not too late to get involved in something. Nevertheless, again, let me be quick to tell you, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. You're all on your own out there at the end of the day. Work hard, trust few, always paddle your own canoe. That point there would offer up a decent buy entry with nice risk management. I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice, but if it pushed past that zone, I would be happy to try and also take advantage of any short-term moves that were happen to be on the cards at that point. We're looking at things like 20% drop-offs representing the difference between the local high and local low at the moment. Risk management in amongst that, whenever you've got as much rope as that to go ahead and lasso onto, then you're probably going to be okay if you can trade this with any degree of alacrity at all. Now, new traders into the market, you're always going to struggle. I'm afraid, I'm sorry, that's just a statistical norm. You always are, but I'm here to help you. If you find the sort of things that we're talking about here in this episode, be sure to help try and support the channel with the likes of Patreon, patreon.com/rocky.outcrop, and a like and a subscribe goes a long way if you're not willing to fork out any cash. Moving on with the show, because that's all you're getting in terms of Cardano technical analysis. In fact, because everything has already been covered, but I will like to point out a couple of little things for people who are maybe savvy enough to follow along with what I'm doing here at this point, because you know, there we have these things that are worth mentioning here and here. For instance, now we also have as well over here the possibility of this being worth a mention, but at the same time, let me also caveat what I just said there by, of course, reminding people of things like that event over there. And then, of course, remembering that, of course, there is one real key thing at any given time in any market, and that is, of course, simple market structure. Right? Understanding simple market structure is the key to understanding price action for 9 out of 10 scenarios that you're probably looking at, which is why I've made this very extremely clear for a very, very long time. Everybody that's watched along with any of my Cardano videos over the last couple of weeks should be pretty much aware of that already. Okay, so that's your rules. Moving on with the show. Like I said, I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin, our friend, the pal, the fantastic Bitcoin, the one that Elon Musk loves so very much. And what we can see here is, of course, that the price action really battered right through that level that we were looking at. That, of course, was our previous all-time high, and this is probably going to have a degree of confluence when we look towards lining up with our Fibonacci retracement here. So what we're going to do is take it from the most significant previous low. This is from the wick over here, which isn't actually the lowest, the lowest body closure, but I'm going wick to wick on this one, lining up here and saying, oh look, okay, so fair enough in terms of what we just spoke about with regarding simple market structure. What you have here is the 236 point lining up with, of course, our previous high on the go over there. Do you want to see what that looks like on the most obvious of little additional indicators? Well, you can over here, if I just draw on, like for instance, the Donchian channels, and you can see here it lining up perfectly, of course, as you would expect, because that's precisely how that works. And this is giving you a number of reasons to be aware of that area. Of course, what you're really looking for is for the continuation of the overall trend, which is identified by looking at these areas so far. 1, 2, 3 of them, 1 and 2 of those at the minute. Those are, of course, higher highs and higher lows, and we're seeing that, of course, between these two highs at the minute there is bearish divergence on the 4-hour time frame if we were to get a local low. So movements down past our previous structural high, it would be absolutely reasonable then to look towards further continuation down towards 38,000 thereafter. If we actually wanted to, we could even wick down as low as 37,000 before coming back up the way without actually dramatically changing things overall. But I'd probably be saying that targets currently, just based off of what we're looking at right now, of 41,200 or so, 41,300 probably. Let's just call it 41,500, just so that we can not argue about things. And then down towards 39,000. Let's call it 39,000 as a target thereafter, 38,800, and then thereafter down towards the 37,000. And these are big numbers, etc. From the high, that is of course a 8%-ish move to get down towards that first target, a 15% move towards that second one, and an 18% move towards that third one. So what we're seeing there is, of course, less movement in lots of instances than what we're seeing with altcoins. So if you're looking to hodl something currently because of the overall market trend, Bitcoin is calling out to you. If you're looking to trade something currently, then altcoins are calling out to you. If you're looking to expose yourself to huge risk and potentially then therefore huge upside potential, you've got the bigger movements happening over there in altcoins. But when we jump over towards a little, just to reconcile everything that I've just been saying there by taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, you can see that we have actually just turned things around ever so slightly for us. If we want to identify how that's happened, bear in mind that I'm looking up here at the 4-hour time frame. That's actually the zoom level's wrong on that. So in terms of on your Streamlab, on your screen at home, bearing in mind I'm looking up towards the 4-hour time frame. That was a little bit more complicated than I wanted it to be. I'm looking at the 4-hour time frame here, and I'm looking at these previous lows. Of course, when we crushed the 618 and then came down and found support at the 786, and we can see that, of course, as well, we had that bullish divergence there on the charts at the time. Now, what we're having here between these two highs at this point and this point here is bearish divergence. That bearish divergence just so happens to be between the area of the sort of the front door and the back door of the golden pocket. That's those two white lines on this one. So we're getting a degree of that. Could we see altcoins then carry on afterwards with a little bit of a tapering off of the of this here, well, of the dominance? Yes, we could. But overall, of course, this is the early stages of a recovery and an upward trend on this one. Something to be aware of course, if you're looking at this chart to put the context of all of your other trading, to put all of your other trading into context. Now, slightly sort of broadening aspect to that there on that, you know, laid out just like that. Maybe worth mentioning as well, giving you the potential for any movements up towards the top end. Just to come back towards your starting points as well. So we'd have to look out for that. That would maybe be the trigger for alt season if we did see a capitulation of that event. But that's not happening right now, and instead what you're really looking to try and do is anticipate whether or not we're going to come in for higher lows overall. I'll leave this on here for just now so we can come back and revisit in the future. But, you know, this is the situation. That's just a wick there though at the top. So really, actually, it's more like a channel than it's broadening. I was maybe a little bit sort of premature to say that. Yeah, it's not really currently because of that structure. Yeah, it's perfect, actually. That's great. That's great. That's what we're looking at currently with regards to this one. So can we see this pull back the way and then continue up the way? Yes, we can. Nice oscillations to be happening with regards to the movements in the market. Now, what could happen is, of course, multiple percentage point moves for altcoins, followed by multiple percentage points moves for Bitcoin. But then, of course, just slightly less of them, creating a degree of attrition across the market. If that's the case, just look out for it yourself. You'll be aware of it at the time if that's the case. By the way, thanks to everybody who is in the chat and is part of the experience that we're doing right here with, of course, the Rocky Outcrop show. If you like this show and you're enjoying what you're seeing here, then of course there are various ways of supporting the channel, but one of the best ways of doing that is by introducing one of your friends to it. Remember, something that I always say, a friend of yours is a friend of all of ours, not just mine, all of ours. We have probably the friendliest community, at least I want to say that we have the friendliest community in the whole entire YouTube space. Yes, I know, big words. We are in crypto land, but nevertheless, we're absolutely amazing. Now, okay, then maybe not the entire crypto space. Maybe there's some sort of puppy rescuing society out there where everybody just seems like so delightfully friendly all the time. But in terms of, like, you know, your vast majority of things, we're definitely doing some home runs in here. And I'm really pleased to see the chat ticking away nicely as you all chat away to each other in there as well. And you know, you get the likes of I'm trying really hard not to sell crypto. I even sold Cineworld shares today just to get myself some cash from KDoc. Interesting stuff there. Cineworld, if you're interested, is maybe perhaps the UK equivalent of the type of thing that you have with AMC in America. It's a cinema company, obviously very, very easily identified by that name. I'm really disliking the MACD. If anybody wants to go ahead and put in a complaint with TradingView about it, feedback in terms of their zoom levels for me, I'll not say no. Then anyway, so what are we seeing with regard to, well, I didn't really do the TA, or did I do the TA? It's hard to remember at this stage. I'll just have to do some more of it. What are we seeing here on the Bitcoin charts? Well, if we do move below, I did the TA already. Who am I kidding? I did the TA. We're looking to see if, in terms of the broader term structure, you know, we want to be supported by the 50 simple period moving average. Currently, that's coming in here at about 34. So, you know, quite a ways to go. If you're looking to trade between these areas, then easy enough to do so because of the vast amount of forgiveness that you'll be given with regards to looking at the key areas on the 618 Fibonacci coming in there at that 50%, that 50 simple period moving average here on the daily time frame. They're coming in for a higher low overall. If we don't just simply super extend the price action towards the top side, is there a likelihood that we would do that? Well, there absolutely is. And one of the ways that we can see this as having been the case was with bearing in mind this really big hidden bullish divergence that I pointed out numerous times in the past. I even have it written up here on this particular chart. It's not on a note on this particular chart, but I'm sure it'll be on one of them. Where is it? Oh, there we go. So, you know, could we have, so we're anticipating this one for quite a while already, could we see hidden bullish divergence on the MACD and the daily and the histogram? And well, yes, we did. And could we see us having been finding support and resistance in amongst the key areas that we already pointed out in the past? Why, yes, we could. And the yellow line here, which is obviously so crucial, finding it being an inflection point that ultimately became the resistance flip support. Is it surprised to see that as being the launch pad for, of course, the SpaceX mission up to these 44,000 price points? Well, that's of course absolutely no surprise to me. It would be of no surprise to you if you'd ever hit that subscribe button and that bell, and that's the last time I'll be telling people to subscribe in this episode. And I'm moving on from doing the TA at the moment. You can only spoon feed people quite so much. Moving on to Ethereum then, and what we see is that Ethereum has just been bounding around in this area, and then oopsie, whoa, it's like Snake, that game on the old Nokias. There we go, made it, and coming to the 236 Fibonacci retracement point, where it's actually found body closure support here on the 24-hour time frame, with one movement down yesterday taking us down as far as $1,500, where we actually came down to the 382, giving us that easy trading scenario at the Fibonacci's so very often do when you're in slightly kind of manipulated, painted on markets like we have in crypto. Clap, clap, clap. Well done, robots. Thank you so much for keeping us in the money-making game. So people get whipped out in this action. Obviously, we came in for highs. It was very exciting for everybody talking about the highs. And then, of course, we came in back down the way. Then we came in for highs again, actually putting another all-time high today with high prices of 1775. And then, of course, you know, we've come back down to where we have, you know, previously been at the $1,700 level. Is this a bad thing? Not at all. Could we be going up the way? Absolutely. This Fibonacci, of course, remains invalid as yet, as it stands, and we're getting a bit of that old we're getting a bit of the old inflection consolidation here. It's consolidation. What do I call it? Of course, consolidation at resistance, and that is, of course, consolidation at resistance at the all-time high. I mean, you don't get much more of a perfect place to really take a moment out to think about things before you crack on up than these sorts of areas. What do we have with regards to this price movement here as well? You know, you're looking at highs up there and then lows down here that get lower, so it's broadening out. You also have various other ideas. A bit of a failed diamond. You know, if we'd had this, or a broken diamond, if we'd had this high push up a little bit higher, then perhaps we could have talked about that. It's really not quite. It's not a very good one. Maybe if we'd had this high, if this high pushes up a bit higher and then comes back down and forms a higher low overall here, putting in you know, a higher low here at the 236 point yet again, not cracking down below it on the 4 hour, then maybe you can start to look towards diamonds. What's the point in any of them? Well, broadening structure things would take you back towards your starting point here. That's not fantastic. You know, we're not really getting a lot of insights from that, but the diamond type structure over here would give you the ability to treat this like a flagpole of sorts and take a measured move off the back of it, like you could do here. It's no surprises for getting the downward side measured move, of course, that's obvious, but the upward side measured move would take you up towards 2,200, and 2,200 is indeed one of those upper side targets that we have had in mind for quite some time already. Looking back the way towards when we first came in for highs, you know, up here when we first came up towards the 13,500 area, having pushed all the way up and looking towards the extensions beyond, you know, we already took out the 1634 area, but the next one in there at 1900 is no big surprise that of course is the next target should we push on up the way from where we are now. About 1900, the next one then of course comes in at 2200. This is all based on the proviso of, first off, staying above the 236 over here, and our fake out territory coming all the way down as far as the 382. Anything in between is simply going to be considered to be a challenge of the 50 simple moving average here on the 4 hour time frame. On the 24 hour time frame, looking at the oscillators down below, obviously we've got that stanking, disgusting, obvious bearish divergence here at this top end on all of the oscillators, and in fact I think that even includes the DMI here. Indeed it absolutely does, but we're positioned fairly well. What we need to see is this, of course, continue up the way. We need to see the DM negative, take out the 30 and continue to trend up the way, unless we want to see that come back to bite us. There is obviously as well another thing very much worthwhile pointing out here for us on this chart, and that is the consolidatory nature of the RSI. That gives you that tightening spring aspect of things, and perhaps, you know, whoops, if I could bring this up, perhaps we're going to be able to look towards things like a bullish an oversold cross on the stochastics. Now, what is an oversold cross on the stochastics? You've got one line of stochastics pointing down the way, then you've got the other line kind of going like this, and whoa, we've crossed over, and then this is happening, and you can see they've got events where this happens in the past on the old stochastics. It's just one of these reasons why, of course, the old calling this zone overbought bought is bullshit, by the way. So, you know, of course, like I've said 1,000 different times on the channel, whenever you see something like that happen, because as we've seen, it just simply leads to more of the upside. We are, of course, in a strongly trending market, and until such times as something gives out, then we know that it is, of course, business as usual. Faffing around with the charts there slightly, as I tried to point out that really, if you are looking at this area as being the danger zone, the real capitulation zone starts to come in at our previous highs. The 50% Fibonacci retracement point, talking $1,400, and the parabolics are lining up with us perfectly to say there's probably not much point until the dust settles in holding on to longs beyond that zone. Of course, you know, you'd be looking at other areas like the 618 to come in there, but if you're if you're in a profit making position and you were simply following along, and I'm not a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice, and you're following along with the trend, then you'd be looking towards the parabolic SAR over here to give you that nice and easy risk management zone. Is a highly effective treatment. I was going to say there, it's a highly effective treatment. Indeed, it is, of course, the liposuction of TA. If you want to talk about it in that sort of a way, it's a handy enough thing to do. You can do it too in the freedom of your own home. From this point here is easy as well to answer when people say, is it too late to buy? Well, in a sense, you know, because I did say earlier on, the whole it's never too late to buy. If you're looking at this thing, then the buying point on this one was, of course, back over here when the prices were $900. That's where they were. We wanted them to go back down there again in terms of giving us up an opportunity to buy again, but we're talking about this in terms of hopefully, you know, it would only be a wick, because if we get a body closure, then it would be going to $700. That same situation remains the case, and if we did see a capitulation event happening, we've got three main targets in here: $900, $700 and something dollars, $650 or whatever coming down the way if you were to actually capitulate in this market at any given time. But we're quite a ways away from doing anything like that, are we not? As I say, 1900, 2200 are the upper side targets if we see a resolution of this thing positively. The pattern, bit bollocks, but you know, there we have it. Then looking on the way, wait a minute, ding ding ding, Chainlink, and Chainlink will bring me round to being able to talk with you in the chat there and see how you're all getting along, and if you're doing absolutely fan-dabby-dozy or not. Bringing up the Chainlink charts and seeing that, oh, it just continues to do exactly as we kind of had scheduled for it. Let me just bring it off logarithmic. In fact, it's, sorry, as I try to adjust that, it is actually slightly extended outside of this zone. Is this the time then to really ask questions about whether or not this was a fair representation of the price movement? That looks actually immediately a bit better than it had previously been set up. Let me just show you. Well, it's debatable. In this zone here, you can see it was clearly operating as terms of support and resistance, and that has actually, you know, stopped being the case currently. I'm going to remove them from the charts. Why am I removing them from the charts? Well, one, it's a major distraction. And two, it's incredibly distracting. So there's your two main points. It's confirmation bias is what it is. You know, it's not correct, when really what we're currently looking at then actually has transformed itself into this exact scenario right here, where we have a wedge that goes along with a tapering sideways action movement on the DMI. Not enough to bring this to actually start to cascade down the way, but also not enough to resume the upward trend. Just slightly going along with it bleeding off ever so slightly. We do need to see an uptake on it. While we saw the divergence there at the previous high areas on the stochastics and the RSI as well. Now we do still have, of course, targets towards the top side, but we're doing this whole consolidation factor with this particular coin currently, and I'm waiting for this to break. It's going to be splendiferous when it does, and it does take us in towards our higher targets. We are obviously positioned nicely, waiting here as the sort of potential hopeful accumulation occurs in this zone. There was one big warning sign that we spoke about recently on the Chainlink charts, and this was the idea of the sort of head and shoulders on the MACD. I'm not a fan of putting that idea out there with any great deal of weight behind it from a sort of textbook idea point of view, but we are also seeing this coinciding with a cross on the no sure thing indicator as well, bringing the price action back up then and seeing how that really kind of performs for us. Well, we're coming up here with that divergence in a wedge. It's not great, but it's also that whole accumulation thing. We're not seeing the drivers of the market driving the market right now, because in so many ways you could make the case that they simply don't want to actually accelerate price action beyond where they're currently looking. Shout out to Northwest Nerd exactly himself, because he's the type of person that if he had billions of dollars would conduct himself in the markets in this way. Instead, all he really does is just buy Link every opportunity he gets. But I'm sure he's smart enough to know that if you bought it all in the one day at the one time, that you would affect prices, etc., etc. Let's hope that that's the case and we get a measured move off of it, because the reverse scenario, which is also incredibly realistic, is very much true. There's a couple of things that we'll be able to look towards to mitigate any potential risk on that. But we have three upward side targets. First off, 27, 28, 29. We knew all about them. Could we go in for an even higher target of the 2.24? Well, a measured move off the back of this wedge, taking us towards the top side, certainly could deliver on that front. Whoops, I'm always drawing on the charts when I mean to be moving them. But if we were to break towards the downside, then we see that, of course, this takes us down to challenge, for instance, our 50 simple moving average, and indeed the last low that we had in the chart. In fact, I'm going to commandeer that horizontal support line to just pop that in there and say we don't want to see the prices dropping down below that. We know why going back 20 periods in time on the daily here actually, is within the structure of this area, of course. So if I pop on something like the Donchian channels, then you can see this lining up with that horizontal line, of course, off that. So we don't want to see a negative break. When was the last time we saw a negative break? Well, throughout this entire upward period, we've been doing pretty good. There was this period offering you a super duper splendiferous buy point here, but that's a little bit of an erroneous candle, given that the prices moved at that point from $11 down to $8, and it was one of those fat finger buy moments for everybody on the market. So it was fantastic, and it was a little bit of a resolution from a sort of fakey head and shoulders that we had on the charts. But really, did it break the really significant low? Well, it didn't for us. This here is the really significant low, is not very great. If we break this particular one, then I think the chances of us coming down towards the 200 simple are excessive at that point, and that would be $13. That's a great deal away from where we are now. It's a pretty much 50% drop off in the price. Do I feel like that's going to happen? No, that's not my opinion, and it's also not what the technicals are saying is going to happen. But technicals don't actually tell you what's going to happen. People who pretend that they do are fat liars. All it really does is give you the ability to assess risk, and as a trader, your job is one thing and one thing only. It is the purchasing and selling of risk. You buy and sell risk as a trader. You don't buy Chainlink and then sell Chainlink. You don't buy Bitcoin and then sell Bitcoin. You buy the risk on Chainlink and you sell the risk on Chainlink. You buy the risk on Bitcoin, you sell the risk on Bitcoin, and all those other things. Of course, unless you're not really a trader at all and you actually like Warren Buffett, in which case you're just buying stuff, right? Because you're old and rich. Fantastic. A big set of positive things for him there. But if you're a trader, then you're involved in the buying and selling of risk, and that's all I'm really talking about overall there. We have got, of course, the increased upward movement in general on the price action, and various reasons to be positive about those upward side targets that we're talking about overall. Now, if we were to see look for an area, I think I've already made a very good case to say that this is where to draw in your lower side Fibonacci from, and then of course we already know that the high from the other day is clearly the area to be drawing that up to. Then we can see that the 236 is where we found the bodies closing out over the last couple of days here in there at the 24/7 area. They come down towards other areas such as the 382 and yesterday's wick down the way, which also is forming up the lower end of this wedge, and today's wick taking us down towards the lower end of that wedge as well. Over the next couple of days, we're going to get zero more chances to do that without about at least conducting a fake out raid on this one. I think would probably take you down towards 23, actually decent chances of it taking you down to 22, all of which fantastic buy points. If we break 22, then that's the end of fake out territory, where the parabolic SAR lines up for us nicely on that 50% retrace, looking for no worse than a Dow pullback on this one. But the chances are that's a really bad phrase. We're in an upward trend. The trend is your friend until the end of the trend. Now that's far more digestible, and in which case you are looking again on the way. Let's hope for things like 32 and be vigilant along the way at our upside targets 26, 27, 28, 29. All that stuff we already spoke about in all of the previous episodes. That's got to do with Chainlink, unless you're absolutely crazy and you want me to start doing other things like pointing out that we have got, of course, diminishing volume during a period of consolidation, and area where, of course, we're looking towards higher highs and stayed above the 236, or other things of that nature, like, of course, the downward split that we have over here on the stochastics. Well, we're actually coming in for another sort of trend line basis, finding area as we see here perfectly, such as that. Now, of course, I could go on all day, but I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to just leave you with this here on the DMI and say that we are waiting for this to show us the way. Show us the way, and that will do with that one. But of course, as well, if you are looking up the way, be aware of the Judderman, my dear, who lurks in or around about that $27 area, of course, of our previous high. That's where you're likely to see a bit of inflection, and maybe where you might want to have those diamond hands, I guess. Right, cool, nice one. That's it. Drop the mic. I've done the TA for today. No more TA being done. I'm sorry, by the way, guys. If you want to suggest a coin, I'm sorry, you're going to have to tip, or you're going to have to put a message there on Twitter. I'm going to just jump on over here and check my notifications again here on Twitter. Yeah, as I can see, nobody has tweeted at me with a hashtag Rocky has the best technical analysis on YouTube. I don't know, whatever hashtag you want. Hashtag, obviously, for the coin that you wanted to look at, my name, so it would have to be like at Rocky Outcrop. Would you please do some of your fantastic TA on hashtag XMR, $XMR, hashtag Monero, hashtag Rockies Outcrop, whatever, I don't know. You make it up, because this will be like a community-led thing if it happens at all. I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but otherwise that's it, and I'll not be doing it. So before I tune out today, I'll be checking my Twitter notifications again to make sure that I've not missed any tweets. But I'm not taking requests from the chat box, because that's a fly-by-night taking advantage of my goodwill sort of a thing, and I'm not doing that today. Okay, cool, nice one. Jumping back here to check you all out. Nice one, by the way. Let me see. I'm going to just bring up the the Bitcoin chart, drop it down to a nice level where everybody can see the prices actually moving. Oh, oops, undo. Oops, undo. Where people can see the prices moving. I meant to hit the auto button there. Like the 1 minute chart here for us, the 1 minute chart. Nice one. So anybody who tunes in get to see some actual activity on the charts. That's always a good thing to have up there, and I'll see how you're all doing there, by the way. Now, what are you chatting about in the chat box, by the way? What are you all chatting about? I'd love to see it in there. And let me see, I'll just scroll back up the way, then I'll catch up with the latest of chit chat. And by the way, as well, if you want to drop a like, fantastic. If you want to comment, chat at me, brilliant. It's all happening now. This is the real sort of community corner chunk of the episode. And what am I talking about here in terms of time, by the way? It's 9:54. That means I've been streaming for just shy of 2 hours. Fantastic. I've almost not stopped talking the entire time. By the way, it's funny, you could take a look at the sound wave thing of my episodes afterwards, and it would just look like this, whereas most people's are like this. So that's funny. It's been non-stop, and I hope that, of course, I've dropped some sort of knowledge bombs for some people, but who knows, you never know. It would be fantastic to see if people could get benefit out of this, value of it, in the same way that the likes of my friends have done so far. For instance, the likes of the 3 top donators to the channel ever, heroes such as Artie Pyle, Michael John Scott, and Sean Thomas, the 3 biggest individual donators to the channel, making me feel motivated into carrying on this TA into 2021 and beyond. Nice to see that currently, by the way, in terms of the Bitcoin prices, we're really just challenging at the top. Suppose just before leaving off here, and I should do some, I was going to say I should do some TA on the 1 minute chart just to give everybody, you know, that little bit of educational stuff here. But if I start thinking to myself for even a split second that I haven't delivered incredible amounts, you know, vast amounts of actual education and explanations and everything else in this episode, then of course that would be a nihilistic existential crisis for me knocking on the door. So I'll not even bother with that. Instead, I'll just catch up with the chat like I said I would. I don't know what happened just there now, by the way, as we see the chat box going mad on my Streamlabs. I didn't actually code Streamlabs myself, so I'm not in control of that. Don't watch his mouth, watch his money, says somebody. Oh yeah, that's talking about, that must be talking about Elon or someone like that. Elon Musk is Satoshi Nakamoto only buying 1.5 billion to make people look over there and not over here. That's funny. I don't know why the chat box up above my head seems to be kind of getting populated in chunks rapidly like that. But there we have it. Good to see people chatting away quite nicely there. I had a friend ask me on Sunday, said Artie Pyle earlier on, why do you live like you only make $60,000 a year? I guess that's how I've accumulated everything, question mark, maybe. I don't know, I just don't need much, I guess. Yeah, thrifty, and of course it'll mean that you've got far more dry powder later in life for whenever you want to fire your kids' lives off into success, or of course treat a loved one to something lovely on there. Nice push up there, push past the previous high as we go up here, stair stepping up nicely. I wonder how that looks on the chart. I mean, in fact, I really probably should just bring up something for us to have in terms of oscillations down below. Look at that, that's decent enough as it stands. Yeah, let's just leave it with the DMI up there. I am a big fan of the DMI. I'm not going to put up the stochastics, which are currently crossing. I'm not going to put up the potentially bearishly divergent RSI either, and I'm not going to leave the flattering non-bearishly divergent MACD on the screen right now. This is obviously operating on a spread of moving averages, and we've just about to come in here for the parabolic SDR crossing over the 50 period moving average. I wonder if that'll happen. You know, that's not actually a real cross, of course. That's nothing, but I'm wondering if that'll happen in terms of where you would start to see that flip on the go. At the minute, you're able to see a pullback. But this is us coming in here with the 40 line again. Well, we have the nice strength of trend. Wonder how this will pan out for us. I'll leave that one visible on the screen. Not that I'm really that bothered about the TA right now. None of this means anything to me right this minute, because of course it's the 1 minute chart, right? Cool, excellent. That's cool. So yeah, great, nice one. And Sean Thomas said earlier on, my friends and family mute me on they're sick of hearing about crypto. I don't have money for that. Me either. Think about wants and needs. They don't want to hear that either. Yes, of course, it's all about decisions, isn't it? It's all about decisions, understandably, with people who haven't got the skills that they need to make the right decision at the right time. It's even harder for them. So we all have to have a degree of sympathy for people who are completely uninitiated, because it is a vastly overwhelming experience when you drop into something like this. I mean, I imagine for people who are brand new to crypto watching my live stream right now, for instance, they'll be incredibly overwhelmed by some of the depth of detail I've gone to, rather than just simply saying good buy, bad buy, good buy, bad buy at certain times. But that is how it is, you know. It's very much an overwhelming experience for a lot of people out there. Oh, Cineworld's 80% in America, only 20% here, Rocky. Well, there you go. Shows what I know. I need to be taking myself off to the cinema more frequently. Thanks for that explanation, K-Talk. That's funny. So everybody knew it already. He can prove he bought BTC and owns no Dodge, says K King. We're talking about Elon. Elon is smart. He got in trouble for insider trading with Twitter, so to avoid any trouble on a BTC investment, he pushed Doge, not BTC. Interesting perspective. That one indeed. Now, of course, he has to be very careful with what he says, anything to do with finances. And I was chatting about this in Discord as well earlier on. Like to see K-Doc chatting about things in Discord as well, in there, saying, like, you know, isn't it amazing how willing he is to do that? You know, how much of a YOLO, I'll just say it on Twitter type of guy he is. Now that he's kind of broken that silence, that moratorium on commenting on Bitcoin and cryptos really over the last wee while. Be interesting to see what hijinks he gets up to. Elon Musk also trying to create distractions for the Wall Street Bets group from pushing up price of silver. Tesla and rockets use lots of silver. Interesting stuff, and K-Duck was talking about that in the Discord earlier on. I felt he was using Dodge as a test of market volatility. Interesting stuff. Woof, nice on the old Bitcoin oscillations here in the background. If you were trading this on the 1 minute chart, that was an obvious move, wasn't it? As we pointed out at the time, it was an obvious move. It was an obvious move, wasn't it? Wasn't it? If that had been a daily chart, same sort of thing. Now, of course, that's me kind of getting at it, saying, oh, this is like predictive. It's not. Risk management at this point of continuing up the way, far greater risk of that than there was of the risk of it continuing toward of it getting a bit of a pullback. So yeah, scrolling on past, skipping a bit of chat here. Don't mean to miss anybody's chat, by the way. This feels to me like a really good one of those episodes for me to go back in time and read the chit chat through again afterwards. So I'll do that after today's episode and see what everybody was talking about, so I don't miss anybody's chit chat at all. It means I have to sit there and watch my own episode over, which is a bit weird, but I'll do it. Oh, I hope I've got my settings set up so that I don't destroy the chat after the show. So over here, there's got to be some options. Edit. I want to have it so it's still visible after the chat. Live chat. Enable live chat. Enable slow load. Allow chat to replay. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that was definitely on there. Cancel that. Right, cool. Stream settings. Right, we're all good. Whoops, we're all good. Take that off there. Stick the charts back up. Sorry about that, folks. I'm sure you don't mind. And let's then scroll on with the chat, yeah, because I'm enjoying the chat here. Rocky Outcrop, this is up there with your most sweary stream. Sorry, everybody, for swearing too much. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I did promise everybody I would never swear again. This is up there with my most sweary stream. Right, well that's it. That's cool. Thanks for the shout out for the reminder on that one. I will never. I'm now no longer going to swear anymore. Polite always from now on. Never going to. Yeah, I did swear on Friday. I did swear. He promised us on Friday we would never hear a swear word on his channel again. His only Patreon watches this kids, and if he lost him, he would probably drop to one stream a week. Yeah, that's really it. You know, if you are watching, by the way, Julian, I apologize for swearing so much. I don't mean to be swearing so much. I hope they've been kind of got away with it, but I really don't think so. Yeah, I'm not going to be swearing anymore. There'll be no more swearing on this channel. I think so. That's probably how we'll go with that one. You getting snow in the borough? Heavy here in Ouija land. Aye, it's lying in the centre of town and everything. It was some hellish bad weather here earlier on, as you can see Trayspot and talking about it. Gosh, it really was really bad here. Dom Underhill, good to see you, buddy. What's up, guys? Don't know why Streamlabs is putting out my chat so bad up above my head, by the way, everybody, as I say earlier on. Matt Rodriguez chatting to Zoner said could be after Zoner had said BTC looks like it might be setting up for a blow off top soon. I'm scared. Absolutely. Well, we had the idea in mind before that 50k would be a good area for that. Now that's entirely speculative, okay, as is the entire nature of everything that we do here. But you know, seriously, that's speculative to say that, but that was something that we discussed for numerous reasons in the past. Now that relevancy of all those reasons will change over time. Oh, the chat's really messed up. That'll change over time. We'll have to obviously keep on assessing that. But if it did happen around about those zones, wouldn't it be a good laugh? Now, I also think that you just got to keep riding that wave, right? You just got to keep riding that wave, and there's plenty more. There's plenty more potential for us. Anyway, Zoner, could be, said Matt Rodriguez. I wonder how many people have wanted to get out of their positions at 40 plus K because they bought high. Yes, interesting as well. I'm also sure that people who finally got out of the hole are deciding to hold a little longer to ride the Elon hype and then sell. Well, yeah, that would make sense. I stay to the end because of Rocky reading the comments. My favorite bit. Is it really? Oh, that's quality. Nice one. Cheers for that, John. K-Doc, was that a pic of Rocky's out shopping for a new bird? Wait a minute. What was that? Wait, where did that happen? No. Surely not. I've heard a lot of talk about 50k plus Bitcoin by the end of 24th this month on Bitcoin. Do not know what's going on the 24th though. There is something happening on the 15th of February. What was that? Oh, that's the stock market. That's GME. Oh no, it's the 12th. Or is it today? Wait a minute. The fund managers are going to lie about the things and create the phantom shares. That happens today, I think, in terms of the delivery for the expiration of those options. If people are interested in normal traditional stonkland. Something on the 15th. I think there's something on the 15th. I don't know. Anyway, Valentine's Day could be an interesting one. It was certainly an interesting one last year, wasn't it? I think we all had a really interesting Valentine's Day last year, and then a really interesting Friday the 13th of March thereafter. It'll be crazy to think it'll have been a whole year since Friday the 13th of March soon enough. I'll be able to play on the 13th of March. Let's hope that the bull trend's still ongoing so I can go back in on the 13th of March 2021 and play the introduction to my video from the 13th of March 2020 on the very first day of this bull trend that we've been in, and show everybody precisely what I said at the time. Then again, that'll be a good laugh, won't it? Plenty of tears will be shed that day by people who didn't do anything. True, but it would be nice to get there. Matt Rodriguez, yes, hitting 50k and maintaining 50k support are two different things. Absolutely, that's very, very true. And indeed, you're right, Kevin, it would be nice to see it get there. You know, it really would. You left the chat window and there was a woman in the shopping trolley. You left the chat window and there's a woman in a shopping trolley. Left the chat window and there was a woman in a shopping trolley. Man, I'm so confused. Oh wait, no, it's here. The woman in the shopping trolley. No, that's not me out shopping for a new bird. This here. No, it's not. It's not. Actually, tell you what, I experienced a degree of FOMO earlier on, as somebody had said that they'd liked me on one of those dating apps, and I opened up the dating app, and everybody on it was an instant swipe left, apart from maybe somebody who I thought, you know, when they were surrounded by so many other left swipes, that they just got tarred by the same brush. And it was kind of became like an intuitive thing, you know, or whatever, a muscle, a reflex action, you know. It was like my trigger finger just slipped, you know, and then I dismissed them, and then I got that feeling of FOMO, and you know, I was thinking, have I you know, was the fear set in? Have I missed out on the one true love of my life? Have I missed out on that? Well, no. There's your answer. No, I haven't missed out on that. Good man, Artie Pyle. What's good man about Artie Pyle? Hell, I'll join the Patreon. I don't mind the swearing. I'll have to hold off on the OnlyFans though. Yeah, OnlyFans. My God, I would have to outsource that one. I'd have to outsource it. If any of you want to be the Rocky Outcrop OnlyFans sort of champion, then by all means. But I'll not be doing no OnlyFans. That's so funny, Artie Pyle. That's so funny. Oh, by the way, to everybody, then I'll just stick the link in for the Patreon. Now, if you are wondering why is this guy over here pushing his pushing all the Patreon and all the rest of it, I mean, why is Rocky doing that? Well, it's because I am looking for this year to be a really great, successful year for the YouTube channel, because if it is, and it actually continues to grow and provides a solid income for myself, which is an entirely, you know, essentially risk-free income, then it's going to be great. It's going to be super motivating for me, because I've got through a whole year of delivering like high quality content with like ridiculous accuracy in terms of TA, helping people make money in the markets, and now and as well, just, you know, meeting friendly people and being a place where friendly people get together. And I'm thinking there's just so much value here that I would hate to not keep doing it forever. But of course I can't keep doing this sort of thing forever. for nothing, and I got $700 last year from the whole of 2020 for doing streaming. Now I've made more than $700 this year already from the likes of very generous Sean Thomas, Artie Pyle, etc., as well, really, you know, putting their funds up front to really, you know, help everybody else. It helps everybody else much more, to be honest, than it helps me when they do that. Because what it does is it keeps the channel going. You know, it shows everybody that there's, you know, genuine value here and everything else, and new viewers might therefore be more tempted to come back and watch again. And if they watch here a lot, then they'll learn an awful lot, and it might even change their entire lives. That's a little bit hyperbolic, you know, perhaps, you know, or a little bit grandiose or highfalutin, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, I do kind of genuinely believe it, that I can help people change their lives, you know, and that means so much to me. And that's what I want to keep doing into the future. And that's why I'm talking about trying to actually get the channel so it wipes its own face and makes it worthwhile doing it, you know, because of course, we could just take this entire endeavor private. And if it was private, then I would just put in a charge on it, do TA exactly how people want. Maybe even go a little bit further and actually draw out consistently the take profit targets and everything else on there. Now, if you're totally able to do that anyway, I'd take you 99.9% of the way there. But I would probably go ahead and draw on the actual take profits on the charts and everything, and the risk levels, etc. And then charge something like, I don't know, $10,000 per year per person to be a part of the group, right? Except we're doing it for free here, okay? And that's what's on the go, and that's cool. And I want to keep doing that forever because it's accessible to everybody. Now, but you don't all have to constantly contribute all the time. That's not what I'm doing over here. But if we could kind of, you know, get to the point where it was just seen as normal, that would be awesome. By the way, RT, you'll be the first to hear about Rocky's new crypto project. Oh, that's cool. What are we talking about here? I mean, I know what you're talking about. Hellage. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's where I'll probably post up about the new crypto project stuff. Yeah, I've got ideas, and I want to share them with the community. Of course, no guarantees in life. And when it comes to ideas, we never know. It could just always remain as an idea forever. Who knows? But then there's ideas out there, and I want to discuss them with people. I'll be taking it to that area first, probably. It's chilly here in Texas, 12 degrees centigrade. That's laughably warm. That's taps off weather is what we'd call that over here. Tops off, you know, tops off. Scottish people call it taps off weather. 12 degrees. Well, it's not actually necessarily taps off weather, but it's warm enough that I'm insanely jealous. So there we go. I know, but it's a wee bit too hot for you in summer times. You know, it's really too hot over there. Sarah says, the big names are holding a bag full of something, methinks. By the way, it's fantastic to have you here, Sarah, and good for you for coming in here and chatting away. I saw you. We chatted on the YouTube comments recently. I think you do a good job of communicating. I think you're pretty good at communicating. So go ahead and keep on communicating all the time. It's all good. I think it's pretty good. Anyway, Zoner, BTC is going to make history today with the fattest daily candle in dollar amount. Is that right? Is that actually right? The single biggest absolute value candle of all timey. I'll just get rid of that. It's kind of served its purpose in terms of the show. So what are we talking about? Lows down here at around, well, actually this will tell me better. 38.50 up to 44.96. So we're talking $7,000 move in the one day. That's gotta be up there, right? It's gotta be up there. Yeah. This is the linear chart, so these big candles are, you know, it's not proportionate, or what they're directly proportionate to the smaller ones before. You're right. Yeah, it looks like it. Big fat fatty. Wow. Well, you know, this obviously ties together with what with who was it that said it about was it you, Zoner, that said that you're worried about a blow off top? Yeah, so I see what you're thinking. You know, you're looking at this and seeing this explosive, huge, big candle, the Elon Musk hype, everything else, and thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, this is where we could see something like that happen. If this were to happen and we were to look back in time, do afterwards, then you'd be looking at that. You'd be looking at the previous high and the current high, obviously, because if it was a blow off top, we'd see it going down significantly to consider that to be a local top, and then you'd be able to say that this is obviously very much bearishly divergent across the board at the time, right? For instance, that's your sort of moving average perspective. Here's a sort of average true range perspective when we look at the RSI. Where's it hidden at? Here, your sort of average true range perspective, your stochastic, and that's the word for it, perspective. This is sort of to do with differentials of price action. Yeah, could be. It'd be so exciting if it was. Easy ways to identify are going to be the ones that we spoke about earlier on. You just have to kind of undo it to get to the point where, you know, first off, don't start panicking too much. Where's my... Give me that feedback. Don't start panicking too much until we've gone past the $41,000 mark, you know? On that front. Rocky, you've got 2 Patreon supporters now. What? That's awesome. Artie, you are a legend. So I kind of started out the start of the year and saying to people, this is still more or less the start of the year, that if by the end of this year I could get to, and I'll leave it up to the community to think what's reasonable. I'm not ever going to put a price tag on my own sort of commitment to yourselves, because I am committed anyway. But if the community wants to kind of suggest and say, well, this would be a reasonable amount, then the numbers are not that unachievable, and we don't need everybody to do it, just the outliers of and that as well, you know. And so if 1% of the people or 10% of the people did it, or what do we think, and what sort of numbers, I don't know. But if we had, say, 20 at the middle level, 10 at the top level, and 50 at the lowest level, or 20 at the lowest level, or whatever, then that would add up to being a reasonable amount of income for me, which would offset the amount of hours that I spend on this sort of a thing, and make it so that it was commensurate with that. I mean, given that if I were to go and do this exact thing that I'm doing now at an investment bank, of which there are a lot of them just down that direction, that I would within half a mile of where I am right now, they would pay me twice at what those numbers that I just mentioned for like part-time type job. Now, you don't get very many part-time jobs there, but if I wanted to do it part-time, you know, and be paid to do this, zero risk, I don't care, let the hedge fund manager do it. I'll just be an analyst, whatever. I'd still get double those sorts of numbers or triple them or whatever. So I don't know what would be reasonable and what's a good target to aim for, but that's what we're going at. And then over the period of the next while, whatever. Anyway, all that stuff, thank you so much, really do appreciate it. You have brought me so much closer to that target by a huge percentage. Yeah, you don't want to be in Texas in the summer. You just don't want to be in Texas in the summer, right? Texans know it's colder in their pools than the sidewalk. Lol. Wow. You know, wait, what do people in Michigan tell you there? Epics know. Wait, let me see. What do you people know about cold? What do you people know about cold? Where are we all compared to each other in terms of our our latitude, right? How deep are we all up north? I mean, we're up. Y'all keep warm now. Phil. Yeah, and you know, and they've got all the moonshine and everything else to keep them, you know, toasty warm all the time. Man, you got to be like, I would, if I lived in the States, it would be in a warm place. And maybe that's a little bit silly sounding, given that I live in a really cold place in Europe, and it's not like there's not choices for hot places, but it's just to do with like infrastructure and the really nice, I don't know, maybe I should go and join Rick in France and live somewhere slightly better. I wonder where we all line up with each other in terms of latitude and longitude. The latitude of Edinburgh, Scotland is 55. Let's just go for the state. I wonder if, I mean, obviously that's a bit ridiculous. 31. Woof. Where's Michigan? Shit. sorry, well, 45, right? But I mean, I have to keep doing it the same way. Michigan, yeah. 45. So so far I'm the worst off in terms of temperature. Anybody else want to compete in terms of seeing who's furthest north? Scotland, 18 degrees average summer temperature. I mean, obviously KDoc is living it too. KDoc lives in Glasgow area. They have a lot more rain than us, although we still get rained on 188 days a year on average. So I mean, when we say a lot more, you got to feel sorry for Glasgow. I actually prefer the rain in Glasgow, to be honest with you. And then in Edinburgh, what we have is the design of the streets here was done back before America really existed, right? And we just had the plague and everything else. And what we thought was that movement of air and wind would be a great thing. So they redesigned the entire city and built this relatively ancient city that we're in here right on top of another ancient city. They're like, scrap that, let's start again. Chucked all the dead bodies into the bits, and then various people that still had the plague kind of just walled them in and threw parcels of bread over and said, come out if you're still alive in a month or two, and cracked on with building an entirely new city right on top of that. And we laid it out in such a way that it catches the wind. So and what people used to do is they'd open up their window and they'd take the bucket that they'd used for pee and poop and they just chuck it out the window onto the street, and they would shout down to the people down below, "Gardy loo," which was a phrase at the time kind of to say watch out, and they would just throw their wee and poo onto the street, right? This is kind of pre-sewers as well. This is before your man Crapper invented the toilet, and we we needed to deal with that somehow. So the enlightened architects of their day built it so that we specifically caught the wind on every street. So when you're out in Edinburgh and they talk about wind chill factor, it's like, oh, it's 15 degrees, but it feels like 12. Well, actually, Edinburgh city centre feels more like 9. It's the wind is constant in your face. And yeah, sure, they needed to do it back in the day so they could push that smell of whiffy poo away. But yes, we are the ones that suffer as a result. Oh, look at that. That's kind of changed things up a little bit. That's an interesting little sort of layout that we have here. We didn't actually crack down past that previous low, and that's easy to see more or less in terms of our extremes with this Donchian thing. We did push past the wick of this low with our most recent wick, giving you kind of 2 for 1. Wait and see, will we get a close that's lower than that low over there? Is that really even the low to look to? Given that it was followed on by a lower high, I'd say that it isn't. More or less in terms of this 1 minute chart time frame, we're kind of doing okay so long as we reside above 44,150. We're up here at 44,394. Is it reasonable to think that we could get a movement up the way? I think it probably is at the minute right now. Let's see if that happens. If we can crack the 50, then decent, but overall I'm waiting to kind of see if we close down below this area just now, because maybe we will, in which case that would be another trading opportunity for us. Looking down the way here, I'd say that we're just actually challenging the 236 on a Fibonacci. If I were to draw one in from the highs that we've just had to the lows just now, looks to me to be the case. And yeah, absolutely, it was happening at the time of speaking, and we're just cracking up above that right now. Decent enough. Let's see if we can at least get up towards 44,686 in the next sort of 10 minutes or so. Crack past this parabolic thing, SAR, move the emphasis then over towards the long side and be above the median line of the Donchian channel. Or will we fail to actually even supersede the 50 simple period moving average here? Big risk management zone. I mean, we obviously need to get past our previous site. Here we go. So are we going to do this now? Why am I doing this again? I can't remember. Back over to the chat. Sorry. I just thought for a second that I would do that thing that I do every so often and decided not to. Toronto is coldest for me, minus 45 degrees wind chill. Place shouldn't have anyone living there at those temperatures. Yeah, of course, but no doubt it was set up by a bunch of mad Scotsmen back in the day. And while you're completely right, we're we're mad, so that's just what happens. Chicago is just about the coldest place I've ever been. Yeah, no, I couldn't do that. Humidity, just the humidity alone, gosh. Robbie Burns our lovely poet Robert Burns used to live in my place many moons ago. That's right, Trace Button, he did. Wait, you don't need me telling you that. But the very famous poet Robert Burns, the one that every single person in the world, I mean, is he the most famous poet of all time? I think he probably should be, at least in the Western English speaking world. Well, the Western world. I'd include all of the non-native English speakers in that as well, because it was Robbie Burns, that wrote the Auld Lang Syne. You know, should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind, and all that. You sing it every New Year. You all know it. Is there any other poem in the world that everybody knows? You know, other than prayers. Sorry, right, okay. Excluding religious things, because you know the Christianity kind of dominates, doesn't it? So other than that, is there anybody else that even competes with that? You know, Robbie Burns. Anyway, I wonder, could it possibly be that you actually reside in the same exact spot where Robbie Burns wrote that poem? Wouldn't that be fantastic? Wouldn't it be cool? Big part of history, that. Statue of him in Central Park. Not many poets get statues. Exactly, that's right. Talking about what not many people get as well. If you're interested in Edinburgh, and we've kind of started something, so let's keep going. The biggest monument to an author in the world, where is it? Let me know if you know the answer to that. I know TradeSpotting does. Where is the biggest monument in the world? And given that I asked the question by saying, since we're talking about Edinburgh, wow, amazing, you guessed it. The Walter Scott Monument, the Scots Monument here in Edinburgh, is the biggest monument to an author in the world, which is cool, right? Fantastic. Phil, the UK should be an ice island, but the jet in Gulfstream saves us. That's right. We should be just as bad as Norway and all the rest of it, but the jet Gulfstream saves us. It saves us, well, kind of in a trickle-down way. You know, London, always nice weather sort of thing, you know, and then like the further north you go, the worse it gets. But that place that I was doing my episodes in the summer, if you were watching along at the time, Forres, which is very famous as well in the world, because that's where the witches were from in Macbeth, the Shakespeare play you might have heard of. I just said it, Macbeth, that's right, the Scottish play. Yeah, that was Forres, that's where the witches were from. Anyway, it's in a little microclimate and it's really nice, funnily enough. Really great weather up there. Robert Frost, the road not taken. Most people mistake the meaning though. You think that's okay? You think so? I mean, I think so, but not really. Not really. Like, yes, but I reckon more people know about Auld Lang Syne than even know that they know about it. You know, like that's what it's kind of meant. Like just the song, just the do 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 is like, you know, and that I think I kind of included in the whole thing. But then the road less taken is like was such a cliche. But I think it was a cliche before. It was a cliche before Robert Frost made the poem as well. It was like, this is like the road less taken. I mean, that was a timeless cliche. But I don't know. I mean, I like Robert Frost, so I'm not going to take it away from him, or whatever. It will be an ice island again. Well, it might be, you know, Phil, but it might also just be a massive swimming pool. I mean, things keep going the way they're going. Then have you seen the maps? I mean, the England especially completely destroyed by rising sea levels. Oh, it's just gone, like just gone. Rising sea levels. We'll be okay here, but yeah, that's right. But I'll either be a massive ice island again, or else perhaps, you know, it'll be a nice England on the rocks down below as well. It'll be good to see if that happens. I'll laugh, I'll tell you, I'll laugh if it happens. Zoner, our adopted Zoner, our adopted Scottish Zoner. Yes, you can be an honorary Scottish person if you like, Zoner, absolutely. And yeah, brilliant. What else have I missed in the chat earlier on and all that? Sarah, did I scare you off by saying that you communicate well? I wonder. I wonder. Maybe I did. And scrolling on up the way, who else do we have here that I've kind of missed chat from, by the way? See that we have this. Let's see. New rule: Rocky Outcrop has to put a Bitcoin in the jar every time he swears. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine the original guys like Satoshi had done that. Plop, every time he swore back in the day, the most expensive swear fund like ever. You know, he could change the world with that. Wow, that's cool. Maybe that's a better idea. That is actually kind of a decent idea, you know. If he'd been doing it throughout the summer, if I'd been doing that throughout the summer with Chainlink, for instance, that would have been a good laugh, wouldn't it? Be sat here with thinking that was a good investment. I'm glad I swore, you know. Actually, tell you what, it has to hurt, doesn't it? It has to hurt. So instead of that, it should be what should it be? Something like this would be a more appropriate thing for the swear jar, right? Like that, because you know you really don't want to be swearing if you're sticking an Ethereum Classic in the jar every time, right? That's maybe a little bit unfair because I put the BTC chart up, but just to put that fully into context, you know, there you're not exactly. It's not amazing, right? It's not amazing. Funnily enough, by the way, in terms of it's not amazing, this whole section of price action is really kind of fairly similar to what we're seeing over there on Tezos. Now, I'm not saying anything negative about on Tezos at all, but just a couple of similarities that people might want to have pointed out to them. Why am I doing this? I said I'd stop doing the charts earlier on. Still, nevertheless, a couple of similarities. We're just coming in here for a golden cross right now. As you can see, it's just happening. This is a 2-day time frame, sorry. 24-hour time frame, happened in the past. Oh, that's slightly different. Oh, it's kind of more like, you know, whatever. So it happened in the past, right? Still, whatever. In terms of where we've come from with regards to this big drop down the way. By the way, chappies and chapettes, we've come up here and hit off of the 618 golden pocket and then drop down the way. Oh, but it's not as good as Tezos, given that we're down here, you know, suffering at the 50% line instead of up at the 618, consolidating, looking to try and crack it. But then again, you know, fair enough, whatever. Just the general, this zone here is similar. Maybe that was just my own sort of personal opinion. I'm not so sure. Bringing back up the 1 minute Bitcoin chart so we can really get down to business here though on this one. We did neither or of those sorts of scenarios, by the way. We didn't actually crack down below our lows over there. Not that I want to keep pointing this out to the extent that it puts an undue amount of emphasis on the significance of that area, especially given that it isn't compared to that, just a straight off, easy, obvious thing to say. And we didn't crack up above the 50. We did neither. We did come up and touch it though, I think, probably about 10 minutes ago. So we did it again there, just there now. So are we going to do it now? Are we going to eventually do this? Yes, great. So what we spoke about earlier on is happening now. Congratulations to everybody who broke the rules by trading whilst I'm talking about things, because that's cheeky. A dodge in the jar, Rocky. Aye, a Dogecoin, a doge in the jar. That's maybe what it should be, right? That's maybe what it should be. And it makes it more reasonable in terms of you know, cutting into my cash flow by being able to do that, I suppose, right? But anyway, it is the currency of the future, right? I did swear lots due to XRP, so that makes sense. Yeah, gosh, East Anglia will be Manchester's pool. That's right. We're talking about two places that are like, I don't know, 700 miles or 600 miles apart in terms of their spread. More maybe, right? Depends on where you measure it from. It's a big enough distance. In terms of American distances, it's not that big a difference. Oh, it's only 150, 178 miles, not 600 miles. What am I thinking? Yeah, so nothing. It's nothing. What am I like? 600 miles. That's the distance between London and Edinburgh. Rocky, you mad? Yeah. Whoops, sorry. Forget it. Don't give me a ruler. I wouldn't know what to do with it. Or a measuring stick, or a measuring tape, or anything else. Back over on the 50, by the way, back over on the 1 minute Bitcoin USD chart here, seeing us having gone up above the 50 simple period moving average there, just used it to find support. Will we be able to sustain price action up above it and try and crack higher again? Well, that was the original hypothesis. Are we going to try for 4,700 and something like we kind of thought could be the next reasonable target to look to? Wasn't that what we said it was? Something like that. By the way, thank you to all 27 people who hit like. I'm aware that you're not all here now, but thanks to that. Pass the Doge round the left hand side. The Doji. I don't know how you're supposed to say it, you know, but I'm going with Doge because I think that's what Elon said, that everybody will be using Dogecoin in the future. So, right, cool. Shall we say that we're wrapping it up now? We've had chit chat time for the last half an hour, and you're all superheroes. Why did it not come up here? Why did it not come up on my stream when you became a Patreon, by the way? 2 Patreons. Make sure that you went to Rocky Outcrop when you became the Patreon, by the way, Artie. No, Phil. No, Artie. Phil, was it Artie? It was Artie, right? Was it Artie? It was Artie. Don't let me forget either who it was that said it, because I don't want to forget, right? But it was you, Artie, right? I think it was you that you said you were doing this Patreon jazz, and it hasn't registered yet, so maybe you signed up to somebody else. Hope not, like some random thing, some random person. If you are going to the old patreon.com, then it's of course patreon.com/rocky.outcrop. Yeah, just type that in again, pin that one instead of the other one, just in case it was the wrong level. Replace pinned. Right, okay. Anyhow, I just, maybe it's delayed or whatever, but it's disappointing that it didn't come up on the screen and give you the zombies thing. There's a wee thing. 'Twas I, says Artie. Yeah, I thought it was you, Artie. Yeah, so it should have come up with one of those Roman zombies, so that you got your. Oh no, it did. Yeah, check it out. It did happen. A couple of people did. A couple of people did. You know what? A couple of people did. Trey, you did as well. Trey, I know you did. Let me just play it there. Did it not come up on the screen? Why did that not come up on the blooming screen? We've got Trey and Trip. Both of yous did it, by the way. Yous legends. Yous gosh darn legends. I don't know why I'm not getting to see that thing on my Streamlabs though. Maybe it'll show up. Ah, there we go. Trip, there's your one. Sweet Trip. Let me just that was Trip Anderson, and here we go. Trey Paget. Fantastic. Ricky Crop Top getting new Patreon measures. Ricky Crop Top. Ricky Crop Top. Yeah. Cool. That should be an alter ego of mine, the way that sounds, like the sort of flash dance outfit. That was a bit of chat that we had in the Discord, whether or not we like the new colors of the thumbnails that I've been using. Both of those are me. Seriously, Artie? No, wait, no. Are they both these? Trip and Trey? I know. I knew. Yeah, I was pretty sure you were Trey, but you're not Trip as well, are you? Man, that's just so awesome. I think it makes a big difference to the sort of the credibility of the channel. Not that we need it, because we've seen the episodes enough to know what sort of credibility we've got here. But for the likes of new folks coming along, look at that, we got it. We got our wee target. We got our target. So I mean, personally, again, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'd have been content to take profit with the move that we described here with this little thing. Now this is the daily time frame. What? This is the 1 minute time frame. But this type of technical analysis that you can do here, of course, applies to the bigger time frames as well, more or less. There are obviously nuances that you've got to be aware of. Shall we check in with the Bitcoin CMEs, by the way? Because there's gaps, right? There's got to be a gap, surely, okay? or not. No, wait, the price action today was so huge that it managed to avoid the gap. Here's the 24-hour CME chart. We did talk about this on Friday. You know, where could we see the prices ending up, etc. Was it Friday? No, wait, it was on. It was in Sean Thomas. Sean Thomas, really nice guy, invited me. If you're still here, by the way, Sean, thanks. Invited me to talk in his live stream, because he does a live stream, a private one, with a group of traders twice a week, and he invited me to come along and chat, and I chatted to him, and it was great, and to a really nice guy from the crypto space. You may well have already know all about him, Alex Lorenzo. He's got a really good YouTube channel. I'll give him a shout out right now, in fact, here while we're at it. We chatted, and during that live stream I was kind of asking the question, like, you know, do we want to see this happen? I wanted to see the prices retrace a little bit down the way so that we would avoid the gap, and by jingles did they oblige. You know, they obliged perfectly, and we've managed to come up the way and avoid having that gap on the go there, which is maybe going to be somewhat useful as opposed to the to Zoner in terms of alleviating some of that stress about, you know, having additional gaps on there, etc. Although the whole blow off top thing is kind of along the lines of not having significant enough, or, you know, real enough support and resistance to really last the distance along the way, as you need to rely on it. You know, 236 lines up now from the previous low, if you're dragging it in from the low on the 26th of November up to the highs that we've had just now, if you chose that as your point. Now that's somewhat distinct from what we've been talking about so far, but this is a broader perspective point of view, and saying that cracking down below that area could take you down towards the 618, and if we came down to the 618 golden pocket, this lines up with where the gap is now for us as well, given these recent highs. Now we've come up high enough that any further higher up means that, of course, you're looking that wouldn't happen. Ideally, in terms of the highs and getting a golden pocket retrace between these 2 points here, it would have happened off of the previous high, to be perfectly frank with you, you know, that we had up there already, and it didn't happen. So, you know, may the beat go on in that front, I suppose, or whatever. But yeah. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Hello, Trade Spotting. My real name is Trey. I use pseudonyms on about everything on the web. Artie Pyle is inspired by the drummer from Leonard Skinner's Artemis Pyle. Also, that's cool, by the way. That's pretty cool, that one. That's me, seriously. The trip like triple and 3/3 tres tray. Understand that? It's a shit. No, man, I got you perfectly. It's perfect. That's perfect. You've got a similar enough way that your brain works to myself, Artie, as we know from the jokes that we have in the in the comment sections below videos from time to time. Some of the comments that you put in there, somebody else will come along and read them and must think, what the hell? And then they see me laughing my face off and responding, maybe, you know, from time to time. They must think these two are nut jobs. Anyway, especially yourself. Yeah, you say some really funny stuff. Yeah, so I get it, right? I get it, Trey. I get it, man. Triple, trip. Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. That name is American name. Right, guys, heading off. You all have a good weekend. Says K-Doc. Totally. Hope we have a good weekend as well, K-Doc, man. And sleep well. Stay warm, right? I mean, I don't know what you're going to have to do. Get the hairdryer and stick it under the duvet for a couple of minutes, something like that, maybe, and warm up. I don't know, really, but yeah, stay warm, everybody. And you know what? Maybe this is maybe me being kind of getting the nudge to say it's coming towards the end. Yeah, weekend. I know, funny, K-Doc. K-Doc says some funny stuff as well. I really like K-Doc's sense of humor too. Not everybody's going to get it. I don't think I've got like an amazing sense of humor that I can get everybody's sense of humor necessarily. There are things out there and jokes that some people make that throw me, but I really do like it when people express their sense of humor, you know, because there's something really personal about somebody's sense of humor that if you can relate to it, you're relating to something which is a core component. You know, somebody's political beliefs or whatever isn't going to tell you if you're going to be friends with them, and in fact, I've got numerous friends that have got diametrically opposed political views to myself, and it doesn't interact in terms of our relationship whatsoever, you know, at all. In fact, you know, like, because you'll have heard me talk a couple of times about independence for Scotland and ideas like this. Well, I know people who are completely and absolutely 100%, you know, would sooner push their granny off a bus than have independence for Scotland, and we get on fine because those things don't really represent somebody. Whereas, on the other hand, somebody's sense of humor, I think, means a massive amount, and I really like it when people actually, you know, go out on a limb and express their sense of humor, because the one of the worst things in the world is to be laughed at when you want to be laughed with, right? But anyway, I certainly laugh along with everything that you say, Artie. And you know what, as well, I really like K-Doc's Scottish sense of humour as well. Although, of course, it's not going to necessarily register with a lot of people because it's Scottish. What are we saying here, Dom? You're asking, am I watching any alt charts, Rocky? I am. Ballot box buddies here in the... We will have ballot box buddies here in the States. Sorry, Dom, you said, are you watching any alts right now? And I am watching alts right now. You know, they've got the obvious ones like Link and all the rest of it. This is changed. I mean, I put it on logarithmic, you can see. So these are the ones that we talk about a lot, and this is, and it's got an interesting setup. I mean, this is a setup, right? I mean, it's not drawn in. It doesn't have the whole thingy on there necessarily or whatever to draw it in. But that's obviously a trade setup that we're looking at. And then you've got the likes of Tezos as well, which has got its own various little doodads about it with this golden cross and stuff like that on there. But as well, I am looking towards things like about Cardano. I'm looking at that from time to time. Ballot box buddies. What? They're making a female bond? What? A female Bond? I mean, I suppose they can do anything they like with Bond, right? For me, it really changed when they got Daniel Craig in as a blonde guy to be James Bond. It's like, how does that work? He's blonde. No, it's not James Blonde. It's James Bond, etc. A female is Bond? And what though? Because are they just going to call her James? I mean, they should, right? But it won't be, right? I mean, see, if it wasn't James Bond, it was Leslie Bond or something like that, where you've got one of these names which has got no gender associated with it, then cool. But how can they? But it'll just sound like James Bond's sister, right? No matter how she introduces herself. Jemima Bond, you know, what's it going to be? Jesse, I mean, Jesse, if his name was Jesse, you could have Jesse, but it won't be. I mean, Jessica Bond, what's it going to be? Like, that's just off. It won't work unless they call her James, which is a really strange name for a girl. Tezos. Thoughts on Tezos price, mainly mobiles. I have got a whole section of this video which is dedicated to Tezos, and if you look up there, up there in the top left corner, you'll notice that the ticker of any given chart that I'm looking at any given time is blowing up quite big, so you should be able to see it, okay, nice and easy on the screen. You should be able to see more or less what I'm looking at any given time. I see that it's for some reason it's not got the full width of the thing, but still, nevertheless, you should be able to see that up there quite easily, and you'll be able to find the Tezos section. Now, in the Tezos TA section, I go into extreme detail and break down everything that you could possibly know with lessons along the way, so at the end of it, you should be better positioned to make your decisions right here, right now in the market, but also much better positioned going into the future to make better better trades, occasionally positional trades, but that's not what I meant. Better trades in the future yourself. I am a spirit guide, and of course I will happily be your spirit guide along the way towards your own financial freedom, but I don't necessarily actually take the keys out of that Lamborghini and pop them directly into your pocket, okay? Instead, what I try to do is bring you 99.999% of the way towards it. Nevertheless, I explain in absolute explicit detail both the upside, downside targets and the risk management zones. It's all in there and it's all explicit. You just have to look for it, okay? Nevertheless, you've asked, And I'm coming to the end of the show now, and I'm in that sort of end of show generosity spirit thing. So I will bring up a Tezos chart real quick. Now, maybe not the one that we were looking at earlier on, so a different Tezos chart, like for instance this one, where we can see that we've got this key area here, which we're just trying to break above now at the 333s. And we're at 336 right now, so we're just breaking above it. Very good. Potential upside targets thereafter, 446. Very much a possible upside target. I would be very cautious, however, in around about 382. There are about 5 different reasons, or there's at least 3 solid different reasons during the Tezos section why I point to 382 as being a key area. I think there's at least 3. But there's probably more, right? And then thereafter, that's your target towards the top side. Looking at another one of these charts, what have we got on the go here that I might want to point out to anybody? Nothing. I mean, I would like to say as well, be wary of potential pullbacks for a retest of this cross here on the 24-hour time frame. Could be if we crack down below 258 over the period of the next few days. I'm feeling pretty dodgy about that, but 270 is perhaps your best buy point in the near future. That is, of course, a solid more than 10% drop off in prices from. What is this? Is this hit BTC with a differential? Oh, check it out. This is one of these things that need to be mentioned. Well, okay, this is something slightly different. Check it out, guys and gals. We have, once again, Tezos price over here, 337, 336, 336 on a handful of big liquid exchanges. Over here on HitBTC, what do we see is 307. The previous high was coming in here at 338. The previous highs to that, 317, 315, and so forth. On the other charts, what do we see is the highs 352, previous to that 340, previous to that 316. So 316 was the 16th of January. Over here in HitBTC, 16th, 17th of January, prices were in parity. Thereafter, they split and they've not been in parity since. This is another interesting HitBTC interesting moment. Are we going to see HitBTC leading the way for us or not with regards to this little structure that we have here on the go? If we see this happen, then perhaps we're going to get a breakout on HitBTC. The profit taking target comes in at, lo and behold, $4.04, where we already had a horizontal line lining up with us. That's lovely to see it. If we can break it, fake out zones, for instance, come in all the way up towards the 350s. However, over here on this chart, if we were to go for something similar, what would that look like? And it's a different, slightly different picture that you're actually getting between the two charts in terms of the construction of these thingies. But it would take you up towards $4.18. Is there an arbitrage opportunity between these two different exchanges? I often wonder when it's like this. This is actually, to be perfectly honest with you, I can't really remember off the top of my head, exactly the full, broad, thorough, complete explanation for the disparity between these two charts and how it goes and what they are. Looking, what the implications of this means when there's this disparity. But we tracked it an awful lot last year. We talked about this an awful lot, and there's a lot of interesting things to be known about it. Maybe if you feel like burning some of your shoe leather, metaphorically speaking, and you want to do a bit of investigation, you could look at the history of that disparity between the two different exchanges, this exchange and all the different ones. So I wonder, but anyway, I'm not going to go and break it down in too much detail again here because I've already done it, and there's no value for anybody in cutting you off your run to the finish line in terms of your success, cutting you off at the knees and not letting you actually achieve those goals by just simply handing everything to you on a platinum platter, right, trip. Exactly. So yeah, we don't want to be giving people stuff on platinum platters, especially not a dead fish. What chart do we want to have open at the minute? Maybe that one that doesn't have the line on it would be better, just for this crack. We can also see that earlier on, K-King Kevin mentioned that they are just after the dot chat that, or the bond chat that set me off on one. we ballot box buddies. We've got the idea of people being simply being friends with each other because of their political ideals and stuff like that. Really don't like it. I really don't like the idea of politics entering into friendships at all. I actually think that they should really exist separately. Anyway, just after you said the thing about the bond chat there, Kevin, you mentioned that Dot and Synthetics, Polkadot and Synthetic Network token are catching up in terms of dollar value with Link, and it's true. It's true. We've seen it in terms of their rises up the way. Now, Polkadot has had a nice dynamic in around about this $20 area, and movements down below it. This is the 1 minute time frame. Movements down below $20 recently have offered up great buy opportunities. For instance, I myself took a trade here just there on the 7th of February, just yesterday, down there at $18. Loving this opportunity that it rose up the way. I stopped out of it, I think, during the flux. Let me just go down the way and see how this would have worked out. I took a trade in it around about here. Yeah, I stopped out of it at one point earlier on. Cool. But yeah, we're doing really, really, really well, and the beat just goes on. It goes on, it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on, it goes on, it goes on, it goes on. We've come up towards our 3 targets that we had already identified: $21, $22 as well. The next target happens to be $28 on this one. Really are shattering up the way in terms of price, offering you, a real quick catch up in terms of having missed out on those Chainlink gains that we saw since it broke past the $4. Whenever Polkadot broke past $4, why it never looked back since. Am I expected to have some decent retracements in amongst this? Yes, of course, absolutely. One easy area to look to being the 50 simple moving average there. If we did see a retracement at the minute, it is a bit harder to take than the likely retracements that we're seeing in terms of Chainlink. However, they're not too dissimilar as well. They're not too dissimilar. The same sort of thing. If it were to go down, I ain't going down like that. And then we also have Synthetics doing not an entirely different story. We moved from the end of December, the same area in December, round about the $5, roughly similar sorts of prices up, and then completely caught up on all of that Chainlink stuff, price action. So really fantastic to see a number of coins that were $4 are now $25, and that is of course in no small part contributing to what we're seeing over here with the $1.3 trillion total market cap, having come in here and captured our anticipated target. Now, in terms of the alt season, with regards to accumulating more Bitcoin, it's nice to see Bitcoin prices drop as we see the total market cap go up, as we see the Bitcoin dominance go down, and we see altcoins actually capturing all of that new money inflows. But we're not actually seeing that. We're seeing that Bitcoin has come up here and put in its highs. We've stretched beyond the area of this target by up to the area that it would have been had I drawn it in perfectly. If you watched the live stream the other day, you saw me say at the time that I hadn't drawn it in perfectly. I did actually leave a tiny bit shy and categorically pointed out that I'd done that at the time. We're bang on there at the minute. If we see things capitulate from here, it could be fairly dodgy town-tastic as we look at the 618 golden pocket having been perfectly refilled again once we've seen this Bitcoin dominance move up the way. Do I want to see this go up? No, I don't, to be perfectly frank with you. I'm totally happy to see this go to zero while the Bitcoin prices still go up, because the Bitcoin prices can go up and the Bitcoin dominance fall and the total market cap go up. That's your golden scenario. If you don't get all 3, then you have to take a variation of them. So if you had to cut one of them out, I'm happy enough to see a drop back down in the price of Bitcoin while we see the gains happening elsewhere. I would point out the sort of temporary potential nature of that should we not actually really manage to achieve something with regards to this 60 area here in terms of dominance, because of course, whoops, a doopsie. If we're looking at this thing and trying to make decisions off of the back of this, then of course this is a key area for us. What I spoke about and talked about as part of the live stream that I did with Sean and his private group there over the weekend was this potential for us to get a big fat ass sorry, I didn't mean to swear there. In American terms, I'm not sure if that necessarily constitutes swearing or not. I didn't mean to. That's another Dogecoin in the jar, right? But that might be a bit of a grey area. I'm not sure. If we see this happen, you know, you might see some sort of big, fat, head and shoulders type scenario playing out, whatever, if we were to operate along those lines. And it makes sense, again, from in terms of the lows to the highs. If we were to go up, you know, get the 236 but fail to push past the 50%, because the 50% is lining up here with that previous high. So if you don't really, you know, do more than what Dow wants you to do, if you simply do a Dow style Dow theory retracement here on this one and then continue with the with going down the way afterwards, that would be hella bad for the Bitcoin dominance. Now, what would be the ideal situation, of course, would be to see Bitcoin pricing continue to go towards the top side as the dominance drops, because that can mean only one thing. That means that altcoins are having a season, of course, right? But we're not there currently. Yeah, that's the bells outside ringing. It's 11 p.m. and I am going to start to tune out. Right, so here we have it, people. This is the reverse roll call for everybody, right? Oh, Boris Cozier. Oh wait. Checking here. If anybody wanted me to take a look at a coin. Sarah, hey Sarah, nice to see you here. What a great beach you have there, Rocky. It's a good life to be living. Fantastic, thanks so much. I'll retweet that there. Does Binance only show the XRP chart from 2018 to date? Rocky, I'll just answer that question for you now, live on stream. Why not? Bring up the I'll just look it up here, even though I have it got it saved there on the list. This will be easier to find. Quality. By the way, if anybody had wanted me to take a look at a coin, they would have needed to have tweeted at me, or of course tipped me in the show here as well. So let's just jump up towards the weekly. Pardon me. That's right, 30th of April 2018. That's when we first got the ripples being listed on Binance. Not a massive deal of history over here, you know. Binance obviously existing longer than that itself, so I'm a little bit surprised about that. I would have thought that it would have been on there earlier than that, right? But I can't remember any hoo-ha around the listing of it and all that. So anyway, there you go. I'll just reply and say, great, read this during the live stream, answered there, but of course here to answered there and here at same time. Yes, that's right, only to April 2018. Okay, cool, excellent stuff. And as well, I would be happy to follow people who are interested in TA and chat to me and want to get some of that sort of follow action on the go over there. Of course, KDoc and myself are not particularly interested in the whole follow action. That's an inside joke there for us. But my good friend Broxy88 is, and that's another inside joke for me and Broxy and KDoc and TradeSpotting and other Scottish viewers. Right, cool. Reverse roll call time it is, ladies and gents. I'm going to leave up this crazy ice cream parlor colored chart on the background here. Well, all the stuff disappeared. There you have it. It disappeared. Oh, it's because we're between it. 1 minute chart. Fan-dabby dozy. I mean, 1 minute charts do look like bigger charts. You're just zoomed in, right? As I do the reverse roll call. Thank you to everybody for having joined me for the stream. I will check my Twitter just before tuning out, just in case there's anybody who wants to get in there at the very last second. But I am, of course, going to go through the reverse roll call, and I do intend on reading this chat between this today and the next time when I come back for the next episode, so I don't miss out on any of your glorious chit chat in there from anybody, because it's all super good. Zoner, thank you so much for being here again. Thanks for the TA. Nice to chat with you guys as ever, my friend. You know, Zoner was one of the first ones to discover. I think, did you discover the channel through the live streams? Was it that how you find the channel, Zoner? Or did you find it before and then you just tuned in? I can't remember now, but I think maybe you discovered it with the live streams. Anyway, you've been here ever since, and we love having you around. Dom Underhill, that's right. He's from, of course, he's from the same town that Bilbo Baggins is from, and he's the president of America. Couple of mistakes that I've made whilst reading his name out during live streams for a laugh. Of course, who am I making? What president am I talking about? Well, that's of course President Underwood from House of Cards, and I'm not sure what they call it down at Bag End, but it's a total. It's like a name from there. Kevin KKing1367, Kevin, one of the Spanner crew out there. Thanks, Rocky. Appreciate the TA, brother, and the group is the best in crypto land. Later all, fantastic, and he's not lying there, by the way, everybody. It's true, it really is. Good night, Kevin. Thanks for tuning in. Artie Pile, Trey, Trip, good guy. I do get it. It's definitely a good name. We were laughing, by the way. One of the latest things we were laughing about was an advert that Artie Pile saw between one of the episodes there for Jaguar, and the styling choices that they've made for it, and just, it was funny. It was good chat in there. Anyway, that's cool. I found your vids a few days before you started streaming, Rocky Outcrop. That's quality. So you are, of course, one of that crowd. That's fantastic. It's nice to know. It's just nice to know, and it's nice to know that you've been showing us that support and part of this community ever since then as well. By the way, everybody, if you want to join the Discord, if you're not part of it already, and then you can find the link down below. Of course, it's not 100% constantly rammed full of chat all the time, which is nice, because it means that when you say something, then of course you can have a real conversation with somebody instead of it just disappearing off the screen. We'll see how that goes in the future. Probably will grow as well. Kevin King, by the way, earlier on, talking about his cake tokens, up 31% today, 103% for the week. Fantastic. I don't actually have any cake myself. I don't think. I did try to get some a couple of weeks ago, but didn't try to get some a couple of weeks ago, but I did go down a food rabbit hole. You know, the likes of sushi, cream, etc. Navanethan, as ever, a fantastic guy. Really love Navanethan. You're such a great guy, by the way. Here, holy crap, Algo at $1. Let me just zoom in here, and we can all celebrate for Tony Wright. We'll have to go into the Discord and say something to Tony Wright about this. Where's Algo at? At Algo USDT, $1. Yeah, doing well. It was, of course, at $1.09 there recently today, so that's fantastic. How about we drop into the Discord and give Tony Wright a little shout out while we're here. Tony, of course, loves the old Algorand. It's his favorite crypto project, having done research into different crypto projects, and we all choose one, and for one reason or another, I think he maybe even discovered it kind of, for God's sake, you're joking me. It wants me to log back in. Okay. Navanethan, tell Tony that it's at $1. If you haven't already. You probably have, in fact. Damn it. Right, whatever. There's those Patreons if anybody wants one. And yeah, cool, nice one. Michael John Scott, John, as he's known to his friends, which we are, so hey John. UPS, my bad, I got them mixed up, I meant Amazon. Oops. So that's part of the chat that's happening there. So the new Apple boss is a crypto fan, so maybe that's what you're talking about there. I'll have to read back through the chat later on. Oh wait, Zero Hedge News. Is Apple about to announce a $5 billion Bitcoin purchase? One bank thinks so. Interesting stuff. Well, they are super big company, and technology is technology. It'd be cool. You'd think that maybe they would have done like a crypto wallet on one of their phones, like Samsung did first, built in and all that sort of thing, but whatever, they didn't. I don't mean a digital wallet. Of course, there's plenty on the iOS store. What I'm talking about there is a actual hardware wallet integrated into the actual device itself, which is something that Samsung did. Now, a crypto wallet can kind of be for life, whereas a telephone is often for the weekend, depending on how much you drank, etc., or whatever. So I wouldn't like the idea of having your hard wallet stolen alongside your phone. Maybe they just looked into it, Apple, and thought that's a stupid idea, and to which I kind of agree, to be perfectly honest with you. But you never know, they might have copied them. Whatever, they would have all of the information they wanted, though. What with them owning 49% of Samsung anyway. Yeah, cool. Not a lot of people know that, but it is. Oh, never mind. I saw it on an adult site. Haha. Whoops. Right, cool. Yeah, going back through all the chat here, I can see that Marcin deserves a shout out. He didn't get one yet. K-Doc, he's already way off, but that's cool. He's a great guy. I'll give him a shout out, of course, as well. Scrolling on up the way, then who else is in the last 200 things? Stanley Knife. Hey, Stanley. The furthest north I've been is Luton, and it's raining, so I turned back. Funny stuff. Right, cool. So that was back when we were talking about degrees of latitude and longitude. Thank you so much for being a part of the show here. Susan Crow, we just spoke on Twitter there. That's cool as well that you got a wee shout out on the old Twitter. So I hope you're doing well. Thanks so much for tuning in and all that. Thank you as well to Matt Rodriguez. You are very much a good guy. Thank you so much. I'm going to have to find it from Julian Bania, who's not actually here right now, if I've been swearing too much recently, because I certainly don't want to, but I will start to put those Doge coins in the swear jar soon enough. Thank you so much as well to Matt Rodriguez, K King, K Doc, Michael John Scott. You've all got shout outs already, actually. Sean Thomas, yes, of course, as well. You may not be here right now. That's totally understandable. It's long enough live stream, but thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, come on, Rocky. Nice to hear. Glad I've been trying to have X amount for this. That's right. What do you think of the $450 link this year? Heard that a couple of times now. Oh, God. I don't know, man. I mean, what am I supposed to think about it? I mean, what are you supposed to think about this sort of thing? There's no technical reason for saying that, which is what I think about it. But who knows? I mean, we'll have to just look at it on the way up, you know. But it's possible, I suppose. It's possible. I wonder if you were joking earlier on when you said, "Are you too late?" YouTube or Google? Nice, sorry for that, guys. Right, cool. Yeah, scrolling on up the way. Who else did we have that should get a shout out before I hit the drop the mic button on this bad boy? That's it. That's the last 200 messages. Everybody from in there got a shout out. I hopefully included the likes of Marcin and Dom Underhill as well along the way. Cheers, Nav and Ethan, for that, by the way. Underhill was the name used on the advice of Gandalf by Frodo Baggins during his travels when he did not wish to be identified. An example of this being the time at the Prancing Pony in Bree. Tell you what, was that's if you'd actually said that yourself, I would have almost have believed you, almost, you know. But I feel like that you've copied and pasted that from somewhere on the internet, because whatever. But anyway, tell you what, cool, nice one. I'm glad to know that there's something going on in that noggin that makes sense somewhere along the way. And I'm kind of getting the green light to be able to say the ASS word on the screen here, but I'll still avoid doing it as much as possible. And that's it, right? Cool, excellent. From me to you. Oh, actually, no, wait. I have to do the final thing.